Attendance is 30% down at the X this year. We just had a massive rainstorm. Oh my God, it's craziness in Toronto as we just enter monsoon season, I guess. Hello and welcome to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shoey's Bar and Grill, recorded here as well. The only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. And you know it's number one in our hearts, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Came back from camping last weekend. We had a great time at Joe Lake.
Where is Joe Lake exactly?
So do you know Canoe Lake in Algonquin? It's
right. Yeah, I haven't been there in 1,000 years.
You got a portage through there to get there.
So you guys had the canoes, backpacks, the whole 9 yards?
Yep.
Who brought the ghetto blaster?
Nobody. That's not allowed on the lakes.
What? Music?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not going.
You're doing yourself a disservice then.
I've been up there when I was a kid because I lived up in Pembroke when I was a kid. But wait a second here. You go on a lake, you can put your headphones on, I guess, right?
Yeah, headphones is fine, but you're technically not allowed to blast music.
I'll bring my Bose speaker in the boat. Anyways, that's just interesting. I heard that this. Did you do any fishing or anything?
No, none of my friends have a license.
Oh, okay. I'm not
a fishing guy anyways.
I'm not a big fishing guy either. I just know that now I don't have to worry about that stuff because at my age you can fish for whatever you want.
What do you mean?
Like you don't have to have a license.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I found out that the other day when I was talking about this. You're old. Just go fish.
I would double check that before trying it out.
I'm not going marlin fishing tomorrow, so don't worry about it.
I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Even if you're going into the Humber or something to do it. But I like to shout out, first of all, my canoe partner there, Marco Antonio. Also my ride up, I guess, to Algonquin. Other Marco.
And another Marco. What was the ride? 4 hours?
Like 3.5.
Okay.
Wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Dominic, Chris, Stefan, Johan, and then Rob. It was his first time coming, and we all had a blast.
That's a good crew, man. That sounds like
maximum on the site 9.
Wow, that's a good day at the office. Hey, those are lifelong memories, by the way.
Yeah, we built probably the biggest fire we've ever made there, so that was pretty cool. It was like almost as tall as me.
Oh, good day at the office.
Yeah.
Did you keep the vibe alive?
Of course.
I forgot your vibe today. We'll have to do it later in the week. You know what I mean? That's amazing. I just want to shout out to, which is something we do at the end of the show, but I think if we're doing shout outs, we should shout out to everybody watching the show. Everybody that stops me now and has 2 cents. Everybody that throws in that my producer, accomplice, and guy that runs this show, Andrew Milani, is a professional. So for everybody out there, I've been hearing it, Andrew. This is not blowing smoke up your skirt. I've been hearing it a lot from different people. Guys on the street that I walk my dog with have suddenly tuned into the show. Stuff like that. So I want a big shout out to everybody that's taken the time to shout out to The House That Happens. And please do give us a like or even give us your name so we know that you're listening.
Much love.
Much love. I got another weird shout out that's kind of a social, or what would you call it? What do you call that? Pop culture kind of shout out. But you know, superstitions in sports are insane, right?
Sure.
I heard the craziest one this week. You know, the Chicago Cubs have a run now, 7 of 10. They're 4 games out of the wild card. They think that they got a shot.
I think it's 5 now, but
5, okay. Yeah. I think they're 5 in the loss column. I don't think they can come back. They're too far behind Atlanta. But the manager, Craig Counsell, was gifted a Taylor Swift friend candle.
Oh, yes.
And he lit up the candle, and the Chicago Cubs went on a winning streak and won 7-3. I think they're 7-3 team, might even be 8-2 by now. I'm absolutely fascinated when a team can bring pop culture into their dugout, dressing room, locker, whatever, and suddenly it makes things happen. It's weird. I don't believe in it, but
no, it's just a little bit of fun.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's just another way of saying the magnitude of the Taylor Swift phenomenon going around the world, suddenly in a dugout in one of the storied franchises in the history of baseball, making them win. Taylor isn't in the bullpen, and I don't see Taylor hitting cleanup. So, Craig, I love the shout out. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And by the way, since we're on,
I know Grimace gave the Mets some good luck.
Oh yeah, but they're in the playoffs so far, or they're fighting for a playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think Chicago's going to be there.
Well, Chicago's only 2 games back of the Mets.
But the Mets are only 3 games behind, so that's a 5-game jump, 2 teams. I don't think so. I just think it's an interesting thing. And now that we're on the Taylor,
I'm just saying, if you're going to give the Mets a chance, you got to give the Cubs a chance.
Okay, if you want to look at that, I'm looking at it differently. I still think the Mets because of more pitching, but that's another story. And by the way, since we're on the Taylor Swift thing, let's shout out to the Kelsey brothers for getting that huge
$100 million from Amazon.
We all want a sponsor on our podcast, even we do. So the fact is, I don't want to hear anybody negative or saying this, that, and a TMZ and what their political views are and all that other kind of stuff. The fact is that they created a show and a product that brought them $100 million, and I think that that's commendable on their part.
Sure.
So if you're just saying it, you're just a hater. You know what I mean? I don't listen to their podcast.
Aren't you a hater?
Well, I'm a hater I'm a professional hater. How's that? I'm just not a random hater.
Oh
you know what I mean? Is that the difference? Can I say it out? And that being said, to all the Taylor Swift haters, when the football season starts, can we just don't worry about it? Let her come out to the games like you'd bring out your girlfriend to the game, like I'd bring my wife out to the game. Let them enjoy. She's been watching tapes. So if she's there, it's like when you see Beyonce at a game or you see back in the day when Prince was at the side court. Leave that shit alone. I hope they get married and have 6 kids personally, but here at the House That Happens, we will not involve ourselves in the whole course of the football season with any hate on Taylor Swift.
No, unlike last year.
Well, that's because we were kind of confused about the situation.
You don't drag me into this.
Well, I just thought it was overblown, but now that it's not a TMZ thing, it's a real kind of relationship, and when you look forward to people being together forever and ever, I'm looking at it from that perspective. You know what I mean? And she is coming to town.
Yep.
So we're going to have a big time with her here. So we're not going to be hating. Shout out to the Kelsey brothers, and may it be a great football season.
I'd like to shout out to my sister, Alexandra. Happy birthday. We went over to her place last night. They went to a rave. I did not attend that, but...
a rave?
Yeah.
They still go on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She had a friend DJing there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You see, I always feel like when I go to a rave, I start feeling like a woodpecker with a headache. Dun, 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 dun,
I've never
dun,
been,
dun,
so...
dun. I've been outside of one, and I just heard the vibe, and I said, oh, yeah, it looks like a lot of people are doing things I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I got away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so happy birthday, Alexandra. We'll see you on Monday.
Happy birthday, Alexandra. Right?
Yep.
What a great name. Tell her my middle name's Alexander, so we have something in common, so to speak.
Well, her fiance listens, so I'm sure you can
great.
pass that along.
How you doing, buddy? Keep listening. We're there with you. I want to... a couple other things that came up this week that I found were very interesting. I think we should shout out to Dublin, Ireland for hosting the very first college football game of the year, because it's just something that the American football is a strictly American phenomenon. To see them take it to a place like Ireland and the enthusiasm from the people on the McAfee show, on the college game day show, people coming out in uniforms from all over Ireland. But the key thing was... You know, Ireland and Guinness go hand in hand. It was great to see all the people getting loose like it's in Ireland. Like this wouldn't happen in downtown New York, or I'm sure at Square in Toronto, but it turned into like us boys watching football. You know what I mean? We're watching the game, we're drinking beers, we're having a good time, and hope nobody gets too drunk. So big shout out to Dublin, Ireland for hosting a absolute American phenomenon and doing such an amazing job doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Oasis announcing they're reuniting for a little Ireland, England tour next summer, I believe.
15 dates at 150 pounds a ticket. I don't think I'll be going.
If they come to North America, I think I would love to drop the shekels to do that.
Okay, so anyways, I have to full disclosure here. I seen Oasis in a club when they came over. Only played 50 minutes, like I told you, after playing Wembley for 2 nights with 50,000 people. They come to Toronto and play a club. I just got to say this. The Oasis, all the attitude was there, but what was more importantly, the band rocked. They were solid. So if you're going to, whatever you think about Oasis, when they hit the stage, they bring it. So It should be interesting. I just think it's a money grab.
Well, that's the smartest money grab, though. They should have been doing this years ago.
No, but the longer they waited, the more the money went up. They were offered this 3 years ago, and they looked the other way. But now I guess, like the old story, they backed the truck up to the door, they opened it up, it's full of money. What are you going to do, tell the truck to get lost?
Oh, exactly. Like, this is just smart business on their part. Like, they should have been doing this years ago. I don't get it.
Okay, for all the Oasis fans and all the Oasis haters, don't go there. Just enjoy the fact that they're going to come out because legacy bands are going the way of the dodo bird because of social media, TikTok, nobody putting
What's
out
that?
albums. What?
Social media? Legacy bands are going...
There'll be no more legacy bands. No,
I don't believe that.
Give me a legacy band right now. A legacy band that would be happening that we're going to be talking about in 10 years. Give me one that's popular right now.
What
Don't
do you
give me
mean?
Drake. Any band that you think of that's going to be around in 10 years on a level of a U2, a Pearl Jam, a Soundgarden, a Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, that's done.
Foo Fighters.
They're the end. They're still there. So they're a legacy band, but they're at the end. Like I'm saying, after that, who's going to be?
I don't know. Someone's going to come up.
No, they'll be for 10 minutes like those Korean kids that come and dance around and they hit the top of the charts.
I don't know about that. I think there's like a music, like it comes in cycles.
Nobody's buying records anymore. It's all streaming, so you got to hope to be there. So then let's get the band out on stage. What do we got? We don't always see a live band. I'm of the belief the legacy bands are over because music's not valued
I think
anymore.
it's just, okay, but I don't believe that at all.
Really?
Music always has a place in the culture.
Oh, I think it is. I believe music is life, so I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm saying is that it's not valued as much just in this understanding. Rick Beato had a great thing about it. When we were young, we had to go out and buy our records. Even in the 70s, when you paid for an album, it was $18-20, okay? You paid for that album, you read the liner notes, you respected the band, or you threw it away because it was garbage. That was your choice, but you had to pay for it. Now kids can pay $100 for Spotify for a year.
Okay.
They get everything they want at their fingertips at any time. Where do they put the value in the music? It's just given to them.
But you're still paying for it.
You're not paying $17 an album anymore. You're paying $100 for a whole year. So you can just.
I don't get how those two are tied to
because
legacy
you
bands,
don't value music as much as because like your grandfather gave
I
you
don't believe that because like music is an emotional thing.
Exactly, but I'm saying there'll be no legacy bands because there's nobody following the bands for that long.
No, I don't buy that.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of like a downturn right now in terms of that, but it's gonna pop up again.
Okay, I'm gonna know.
Everything's history repeats itself. It's all cycle.
I tend to disagree on this, and I'm gonna tell you what. You're gonna know me the rest of my life, unfortunately for you. But I'll tell you, in 10 years from now, when we're talking, we're going to look for a legacy band. There'll be none. Do you know how many tribute bands there are now? Do you know how many tributes are online? Do you know all these bands with one-hit wonders are suddenly getting together, 3 going on tour to make it? Because there's nobody around to fill in that gap. The gap is getting wider. Why do you think Oasis is coming back?
Money.
Yeah, but they're basically a legacy band. Right?
Right.
Deep Purple just came to Toronto and they had to cease and desist because they didn't have enough members in the band that were Deep Purple. Great tribute, by the way. Every player in that band is solid. But in my personal opinion, and I would love to see it tomorrow, a band rise from the roots of the ground and come out and
I think
just
it'll
blow us
happen.
away. I'm glad you're more optimistic as me, as somebody whose album I played this morning while I was walking my dog was recorded in 1959, so maybe that just should tell you where I'm at musically. But let's hope you're right and I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I got one more shout out, or 2 more shout outs, but one of the one shout out that is the funniest thing I've heard. You know there's a million sports shows on TV, right?
I'm aware.
Okay, and I watch a lot of them, okay? So I don't know, and I hate keep bringing them up because I don't want to say that I'm liking more than others, but you have to give some respect to the Pat McAfee show in this respect. He went to a conference for ESPN to discuss the programming,
Right.
how you present it, how we're going to sell you, and then McAfee said the meeting was great until they brought up journalistic integrity and standards on ESPN. The whole crew started laughing on the show. The whole crew started laughing because they were going, because they've got exclusive rights to whatever they want to put on. Like they've got the show where you can't touch the McAfee show. That's what's in their contract. But what I thought what made them laugh so hard is they were saying journalistic integrity, standards. How many shows do you see on TV where there's a sports thing and someone says something on the air and you go, what standard is that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I want to shout out to those guys on that show for presenting the hypocrisy of a network like ESPN saying they have journalistic standards when they have race baiters, they have people that bend the truth, they send out rumors hoping to get clickbait. So I'm questioning the journalistic standards and the integrity of ESPN. Don't bring that up anymore. Put on your show, hope people will watch it. Don't con us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And well, I mean, it's the Disney machine. What do you expect?
Oh, 100% there, bro. 100%. You know?
And any more shout outs?
We only have the most important one, which is the once again, reminding everybody we're about 2 weeks away from this Saturday, I believe.
Exactly 2 weeks away.
Exactly 2 weeks away from the MCM tournament going on at Granite Ridge in Milton. I think everybody knows the details by now. Everybody that's coming to support this, it's absolutely amazing. You know, it is a memorial in my son's name. I don't think we have to repeat that. But the bottom line is we're maxing out on it. We've got some amazing sponsors. Just before I'm going to shout out to all the sponsors on the show just before the tournament comes up, because I want to thank each and every one of them. But not only that, I want to shout out to Tanya Waters. I want to shout out to Janet Lee Freeman. These two girls have done an outstanding job roping in all kinds of sponsors, setting things up, getting it ready. Somehow these people have inked a $10,000 hole-in-one. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone's gonna get that.
Likely not,
but it's a great thing to add. And I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be a great group of people. I don't even know who I'm golfing with, because I'm just going to go with a crew that might only have 3. Most importantly of all, my son Zach, don't stress out. He's had a lot of work to do to help to put this together. And most importantly, the guy that's leading the pack, Mr. Kevin Pick, who's now from our show, and I do believe he's going to come out and do the football preview.
Oh, nice.
So I got to thank all you guys for putting this together, and I'm going to tell you, I got a lot of people shouting out. It's going to be a great time, and by the way, the food's going to be amazing.
All right, so one last question.
Sure.
How were the San Francisco Sluggers this week?
Oh, okay, guys, are you listening? You knew this was going to come. Well, Mr. Milani, can I put it this way? On Tuesday night, we had double elimination game. We had a first game and a second game. We lose either game, we're out. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, as I mentioned on the last show, we've been a little sloppy coming out, you know? Butts in hand, beers coming out of the cooler, and we haven't even swung the bat. Mm-hmm. Other teams are warming up, getting ready. We've lived on no adversity all year. We just kept coming up and winning, then we hit a wall, and what happened? The Sluggers had their finest moment on Tuesday night, coming together collectively as a team. We had Sluggers defense, we played well, and now we are advancing to the championship next Tuesday night. I can't say enough that we have the best player in this league, and probably any league he wants to play in, but that's Cody McDonald. And like I said, everyone bring out the Roboset next week, because he's carrying us on his back. He must have back pains by now. A big shout out to the seniors, especially Pedro, our pitcher, who struck out guys, like we're talking slow pitch, and he's striking guys out, 2 on, 2 out, striking guys out. That led us there. I'm still going to shout out, I'm not going to mention any names, because our outfield defense at times, use 2 hands, don't drop balls. And just one little side factor we have to bring up, because all the guys want to know how I want to deal with this. But the great thing about playing baseball is when you come up in a situation that's all supposedly pressure. Every guy on my team, Anthony, Freeman, Johnny, Danny, the whole crew, it's not pressure, it's fun. So just to let you know, the game that advanced us to the second lead game, some guy named John Alexander Cruz came up in the bottom of the 7th. Man on third, game tied, need a hit to win the game. And guess what? That guy got the hit.
Nice.
So I'm just telling the crew it's no big deal. It was just a lot of fun. The number one word for the Sluggers this weekend, until we get there on Tuesday, is the F word. And that's focus. Andrew, it was great fun. It was really a lot of fun. But when we get to the gospel, there's a little thing that'll happen that I'll tell you about that I thought was unnecessary. But go Sluggers, and make sure we have beer, because we're going to have a celebration. I think we should be able to put this away on Tuesday night, Knockwood.
Yeah. Go Sluggers and take the chip.
That's what we're here for.
All right, we'll move this on to another championship. Formula One was back last weekend with Lando Norris winning the Dutch Grand Prix. Went full Lewis Hamilton 2020 mode, setting the fastest lap on the final lap, winning by over 20 seconds over Max Verstappen. McLaren now 30 points behind Red Bull for first in the constructors, although Lando still 70 points back of Verstappen.
I think that at the beginning of the year, I started yakking up McLaren because I liked Zach Brown.
Which you did a complete 180 on.
Of course, because the guy's a character. At first, I didn't judge him, but he just seemed kind of, who is this guy? But now that I see how he's working things, he's just doing a little bit differently. The strategy...
Not always the best.
Oh, just going to say, some of the strategic moves have hurt McLaren this year. But Lando Norris easily had the fastest car last week. Even Max said this car was hot.
Yeah.
We had no chance at all, which brings them up closer because this is your country's ancestry Grand Prix this weekend.
Yes, they're in Monza. Well, let's talk about the Dutch race first a little bit more.
Okay, I'm going to get there. That's what I'm saying. I thought that the McLaren should have both had higher positions than they were.
Well, McLaren, one of them won. How can you be higher than that?
I think they should have went 1-2.
Wow.
That was my opinion. I'm just saying that you're telling me, because we've talked about this off the air, Piastri. Sometimes I'm wondering about the communication strategies in the pit and some of his strategies when he's driving on the track. Something doesn't balance sometimes, bro.
What do you mean?
Well, you're supposed to go here. You're supposed to put up your DTS or that whatever that thing's going, and suddenly goes up in the dirt and he comes back in and costs him a second. Or he comes in and he's...
DRS?
What's that thing where I forget what it's called.
DRS.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Anyways, he had a couple of strategic moves. Bad stop in the pit stop.
Well, that's not really... DRS isn't really a strategic thing.
You're just only allowed to use it for certain times, right?
You have to be... It's in certain zones when you're within a second of the guy in front of you.
Yeah, something like that. I thought he had opportunity to do that.
Well, not something like that. That's what it is.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? I thought that maybe he should have taken advantage of that a little bit more to go ahead because he had a faster car. He did have a faster car. The intervals were saying he was going faster. I don't know what he's getting anymore. So my point being is, after the race last week, and Max did not dominate in his home country, McLaren is not out of this.
No.
By no means. You know what I'm saying? And
30 points back, that's
nothing.
It's like a third of the season. Yeah, well, not nothing, but like it's definitely something that can be overcome.
Not only that, the Mercedes and Ferrari teams got some breaks in this race too, where they got up a little higher than they were expected, which puts them in the running.
Yeah, after a terrible Friday, Saturday, Leclerc still managed to make podium.
Exactly, but I'm saying now, if you know the track better than I do, the engineering of the cars tells me that Ferrari and Mercedes, we're going to find out this afternoon, who's going to qualify faster. You think they're going to go ahead of Red Bull?
Probably not. I mean, McLaren, Red Bull, they're still the two cars to beat. But like, I don't know. Mercedes, Ferrari, they're like clear second tier, basically, right?
The Ferrari car. I was doing some research, and the down curves and chicanes is designed for whatever they do in their car. Ferrari should know this track as good as anybody, and I'm expecting great things from Ferrari this weekend. I think it's going to be their chance to move up and even make the constructor standings tighter. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, even though I want my McLaren boys to get in there. But I really have a feeling that Ferrari is going to do something this weekend. Did you see the practices yesterday?
No.
Cars look good. Their cars. We'll see this afternoon in qualifying how it's going to go.
Right.
A couple other points we should...
Well, hold on. We skipped right past some things from the Dutch Grand Prix, though.
Okay, continue, because I'm going to lead into that.
So the McLaren, who are we racing comment to Lando, what was that about? I mean, I've heard mixed reactions, if this was like actual mismanagement, or was this like a sign of like some infighting or something going on in there, like a bit of a sarcastic comment?
I'm not really sure, but something's going on in there, and we just discussed this strategy and things that's going on. There's something going on in the McLaren team, but I don't know what it is. I thought it was an off-the-wall statement. You know who you're racing against. You know who your competition is. You know what I mean? And have a like it was almost like a toss-off statement that everyone could use as a soundbite. But does he really believe that? When he said that, who are we racing against? Or a statement. Do you really think? What do you think? Do you think it was sarcastic? Do you think it was serious?
I have no idea because you don't know the context.
Thank you very much. That's what I was thinking. I don't know where to put it in context. If you hear those people that are experts when you watch the shows, you talk to three experts, they all have a different opinion about what that statement is.
Yeah, because they're not in the paddock with those guys. They don't know the ins and outs and the minutia. Exactly,
and I'm an amateur in this, so when I'm hearing this, I'm going, "Ooh, this is." And McLaren has shown over the course of this season that they've done some stuff that they could probably put themselves closer to the constructor lead than they have.
Arguably, they should be closer to Red Bull, if not ahead.
Due to what?
Some mismanagement.
and then
especially with race strategy.
Exactly. So my point being is when Norris makes an offhand comment like that, it's going to perk up everybody's ears.
Yeah, but wasn't that the engineer that said that to Norris?
Yeah, they had some discussion.
Yeah, it was the engineer that asked Norris this, which was bizarre.
Thank you very much. All I'm saying is it makes for more intrigue and more real drama, which is the only drama I want to deal with in life, is when we're doing it in the cause of winning at the highest level of competition,
right,
so to speak. You know what I mean? Any other observations from the race that you found interesting?
Well, Sargent crashed out in, was it?
Wah, 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 wah.
Sargent crashed out in, was it qualifying? And then that was his last race.
This is a cutthroat business, isn't it?
Oh, it has to be.
Oh, I
Think
agree.
about how much money he's cost this team.
Oh, and not only that.
That's your development budget.
At any
it cuts
level
into.
of sports, at the highest level of competition, it's always about performance and production. This guy's failed miserably.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? However, it led to...
by far the worst driver on the grid.
He's proven to be.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because they called up...
My phone just locked for a sec. They called up Franco Colapinto. He is 6th right now in the F2 championship, winning a sprint race, and he finished 2nd place in 2 feature races this year. I know people are complaining about the timing since it's the first race right after the summer break, but I mean, like, money's money.
Oh, that's everything. But you know,
So I don't have a problem with the timing at all.
Oh no, and especially if your performance and money is lacking on this level, you got to change something no matter what situation. What I thought was really cool is, did you see when the kid was getting in the car and everybody was around him? It was a really cool moment. That's what I love in sports. Like, this guy could go on to be nothing. He could go on to be one of the greatest drivers ever. But the respect, or the first time doing it, is just amazing. Anything. It's like a guy coming up for his first at bat in the major leagues, or a goaltender at his first start in the NHL. It was really cool how the crew gathered around him, and he had a nice run. We're going to see this afternoon exactly how well he did run the car. But
I mean, it's still a Williams, so
I'd
be surprised if he qualified top 10.
Oh, I'll be very surprised that he does it. But what if he does? The fact that if
he makes it out of Q1, okay.
Oh, I'll give him that. Yeah, if he makes it out of Q1, it's going to be a good thing. As opposed to Mercedes.
Oh, yes. So they officially announced that Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old prodigy, will be taking Lewis Hamilton's seat next year, although he had a little bit of an accident yesterday during P1 yesterday.
A little accident?
Yeah, he crashed the car.
How long was he on the track?
Not very long.
Not very long. And it's just like that. That's what I'm talking about. There's 2 kids coming up into this highest level of competition. One looks sparkling, and the other one, who's already got a seat next year, has an absolute disaster.
It's your first time in the car, though, so...
Nerves, maybe?
Yeah, it's also in his home country, too, so a little bit of added pressure.
And a little bit of too much high speed, not knowing the track?
Yeah, and, there was a safety car that crashed, too, so...
Oh, let's bring that up. How does that work in Formula 1 when you bring out your brand new safety car and you crash it?
That went too hard, I guess.
Is it you mentioned this, and I always find this interesting. Is this they redid the track?
They repaved the track this year, yeah.
So it's got a different...
And there's also, I know they I can't remember if this was like a weather-related thing or if they actually tore down a bunch of the trees there. So that might have something to do with it. Or you're less protected to the elements and the wind and all that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of the G-force and everything else that they're dealing with, the elements is certainly a part of it.
Oh, it definitely plays a factor.
No doubt about it. But I found the track very interesting. I think that the design of the cars, this track was, how long when they redone it? Years ago, wasn't it?
Every few years they redo the track usually.
I like the way it runs. I like the chances of, I see that, the downturn speed stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that favors Ferrari and Mercedes for the way they race. Hence the reason I'm not a Ferrari fan or anything like that. Sorry, bro. But I think that they're going to have a very good weekend.
You don't like any of the teams I like. It's okay.
All right. It's what we do. Do you think the Ferrari's going to rise up this weekend?
And win the race?
A podium?
Podium, maybe. I mean, Leclerc's on a little bit of a hot streak.
He certainly is. He's racing very well.
If he snatches up 3rd place again, I wouldn't be shocked.
So what are you thinking? It's going to be a Norris Verstappen?
Yeah, 1-2.
And then Leclerc's on there? How about our boy Sergio Perez? What's he going to do?
Can he? You finished, 6th last race?
I think that he has to beat Pastrani.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will beat Piastri.
I don't think he will either, but that's going to just push...
Because number 1, he's in a slower car. Number 2, he's a worse driver.
Oh.
Kevin Pick, I know, did some defense of him last week, but me and my friends, we were ruthless talking about Perez last weekend.
I bet.
By the way, Rob, our buddy that came up with us, he went camping at the Spa race this year in Belgium.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been wild.
He said it was unreal.
I bet you. We're going to have to make a trip to Montreal the next year or two.
I don't know if I'll ever go to the Montreal race. It's one of the top 5 most expensive on the calendar. I'd rather go to Texas.
Yeah. Or Vegas.
That's the most expensive. That's one I definitely will never go to.
Oh, that's the most expensive one? Oh, my God.
Or those controversies. What are they charging? Like $10,000 a ticket or something stupid like that? Forget it.
Well, look who's there. It's the who's who of the world at a lot of these.
And who gives a fuck? Not me.
I don't either. You know what I mean? I'm glad you can spend your money wisely. But in any event, I think this time next week we're going to talk about the constructor points being a lot tighter than it is today. Even though I think my boy Max is going to...
He should take the Drivers' Championship.
It still looks like he's going to maintain there. But Red Bull's team championship is in a precarious position.
Remember how you said how the Christian Horner stuff, we wouldn't be talking about it? Looks like they're falling apart.
I
don't think Max is going to be there in a couple years. I really don't.
I tried to sweep that under the table, remember? Now, word around the campfire is there's definitely some dissension within the room.
Yeah, I don't think there's a coincidence that happened, and then right away there's already chinks in the armor showing, little cracks.
So this is another situation where I tried to at least give somebody a little rope in the understanding of the iniquity they got themselves into. But Christian, it's getting hard to defend you, bro.
Christian Horny.
Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do with it. Anyways, watch the race. I'm really looking forward to this because of the layout of the track.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see some high-speed stuff. Unfortunately, I believe we're going to see some crashes.
Possibly, hopefully not too many, though.
That's the thing. It mars the race. Good luck to everybody. Zach Brown, tighten up on your strategy. You got a shot that you never thought you were going to have at the beginning of the year, and that's the Constructors' Championship.
We'll move this along to our beloved Toronto FC, who, despite our doubts, came up with a win at Houston, 1-0 on the road. Despite only 32% possession and being outshot 17-10, Owusu scored the lone goal, assisted by Bernadeschi in the 54th minute, and it was Johnson's 6th clean sheet of the season. They will play Washington at home today.
I thought Bernadeschi played one of his better games. I seen the highlights. It looks like he showed up. I guess
he's the leading point scorer on the team.
Yeah, which doesn't say a lot.
Well, still.
Okay. In any event, what I'm saying is this:
he's doing what we expect him to do, basically.
Now he should be doing it more.
Well, he's got 8 goals and 5 assists on the season.
And what's the leader got?
Wow.
Not even in the Galaxy.
Well, we're also just not as good of a team, so.
Well, I'm still getting back to the old expression: if you got money, then you should be winning. And Toronto FC...
Well, it's about how you spend your money.
Obviously, they didn't spend it as well as they could. However, with that win, didn't they advance to, and I forget about this nuance about soccer.
No, well, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit. So,
Okay.
So right now, Toronto FC is 8th in the East, 1 point back of 7th, although the team in 7th place has a game in hand.
Yep.
Although still a lot of soccer left to be played. If you can get those wins, it's going to help you because that's 3 points, right?
100%.
But what you were alluding to is Toronto FC beat Forge FC, who play in Hamilton, 1-0, with Insigne scoring the lone goal. They won that game at home, taking the home-and-home and away goals in the Canadian Championship. So now they will play Vancouver Whitecaps FC September 25th in BC for the championship final. The winner gets an automatic seat into the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is our version of Champions League.
Exactly. You know what's really interesting? As much as we've been slagging Toronto FC all year, they've suddenly opened the door to some possibilities that we weren't expecting.
Although the Canadian Championship, there's not a lot of competition until you get to the semifinals or the finals, depending on the draw.
Agreed.
Because there's only 3 Canadian MLS teams, right? Those are Toronto's really only got to worry about Vancouver and Montreal, really. Exactly. And we got lucky where we didn't run into either in the semis.
Point well taken.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm a little bit worried going into Vancouver for that finals.
I am too.
Yeah.
I wonder what the odds are going to be during that game. But the fact is, like I said, we thought this is going to be the most disappointing season in a long time for Toronto FC, and they're making lemonade from some lemons, so to speak. Wouldn't you think of it that way?
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they're giving the BMO crowd something to cheer about because those crowds don't change. I'm so impressed with the what would you say, the landscape of soccer fans in Toronto is unbelievable.
Do you still think the room's being papered?
At times, yes. But when you look at the stands, you know what I mean? There's got to be everyday people. Look at the crew.
People showing up.
The crew.
Which, like, and they don't count tickets sold towards the attendance. It's like if you got to cross the gate for it to count, right?
Look at the support Shoey's is going. There's a crew going down tonight. I've been offered to go, but I've got a barbecue to go to, but I should go down.
Oh, really, really missed out there.
Well, okay.
You don't like Drinking Fest?
I'm not going to touch that, okay? And I do drink beers, but...
I do too, just one or two.
Yeah, so
Not seven.
I don't like going for a sporting event where the number one issue is alcohol.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. That's dangerous.
And anyways, Toronto FC, keep doing what you're doing. Our two Italian stars, they both scored in both games.
Yep. Well, one got an assist, one scored, yeah.
Yeah, so in any event, guys, tie your shoes a little bit tighter. Give the fans what they want, and that's some victories and a chance in the playoffs.
Hold hands, sing Kumbaya.
All of that. You know what I mean? Good luck.
We'll move this over to their roommates, the Toronto Argonauts, who won off a rouge last week, 2019 over Saskatchewan. Chad Kelly in his return, 24-39 passing, 322 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Toronto now 6-4, third in the Eastern Division, 3 points back of Ottawa, who is 5-0-1 at home.
And they got to go there before the season's over,
Yes.
I believe, correct?
And Toronto, of course, it's Labor Day weekend, so on Monday they'll be in Hamilton for the Labor Day Classic.
Which will just be an insane game. That's probably one of the games I should attend, but that's another story.
I would love to go there one day.
Yeah, me too. Especially for the Labor Day Classic.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
What make it so much fun. But anyways, one of the things that's come up, which really surprised me.
The rouge?
Yes. Not only that, the Canadian Football League is distinctly different from American football. We know that. You know what it is? I was rather surprised how much coverage the Rouge got on national TV shows in America. Caught me right off guard.
Well, they talked about it on PTI.
PTI, they talked about it on McAfee. They talked about it on...
Well, McAfee's a football guy, so
Oh,
yeah.
And they talked about it on another ESPN show, Insiders. They talked about it on Good Morning Football. So that's a lot of good press for the Canadian Football League.
Was it good press, though?
Well, some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, because it's such a weird thing. Like, how does Americans understand this? You miss the field goal and you win the game. It just sounds odd, doesn't
Those
it?
guys in Pittsburgh that we were talking to at that Penguins game last year, they were in favor of that rule. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a good rule. It's a good rule.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
Well,
were
you know what it
beating it up.
is? It's kind of like a rugby thing. Like, if you get down there close enough, you should get something.
Yeah, that's the logic, right? Where you are kicking the ball through their goal, right?
Yes, and it's kind of a rugby thing to
Yeah.
do it, and you're scoring, and you've achieved that, take that much real estate, give yourself a point.
Yeah.
I thought the best thing I ever heard was from our good friend Mina Kimes. You know what her opinion on it is, eh?
Don't bring it into the NFL.
No, she said it would be interesting, but you can't do it because the NFL's already etched in
Oh,
stone.
that's what I'm saying. Like, just I
Remember
love it
the
in
rules.
I love it in the CFL.
Yes.
But I do not want it in the NFL.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Just think of the point spread and the gamblers. They're losing their freaking minds. But Mina Kimes had an interesting tongue-in-cheek take on the Rouge where she said, let's make it more interesting. If you hit the goalpost...
Oh, I heard that's a dumbass take.
I thought it was hilarious. Give him 4 points. So you still...
Mina, I love you, but that's
And she was laughing at the side of her face. But what she was saying, if you're going to give up a point for kicking it through the end zone, you hit the goalpost. So you didn't get to go through the end zone. So give him the extra point for just hitting the goalpost. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Never happened in the history of sports.
But now there's like all this outrage about CFL fans saying like they should get rid of the rule. But I think it's just the Toronto effect. This is just because the Argos got a walk-off rouge. I think people are upset about it.
I think everybody would have buried Toronto if Saskatchewan had got it. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, not that Toronto's hated in this country very badly, but it usually comes with a capital H. Most of the time when you're talking about Toronto, you know what I mean? And I think that's part of it.
You say Toronto, like if you go to BC or Alberta, they go,
no kidding. No kidding. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that they brought it up so much is because it's the number one marketing team in Toronto, and you got to look at it like that. But don't take it away. Don't take it away. I think what we can't take away from the fact of that game is Saskatchewan's defense was outstanding. That goal stand that they had, 3 cracks at the end zone, and they didn't get in. So let's give Saskatchewan some credit on their defense. It was a very competitive, very exciting game for Canadian football. Like, the drama was high. You didn't leave your seat, which bodes well for the product. Because when you can put a game on TV of this quality, then more people should watch it. Don't you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's certainly interesting now looking at the standings. Saskatchewan is actually first place in the Western Division, although they're only at 500.
My take on it is there a front runner in the Western Conference?
Absolutely not.
Okay, here we go. We have also the...
Edmonton is like
suddenly
5 points out, and they're in last.
And think about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we weren't even giving Edmonton the time of day. We were talking about the worst season in the history of the franchise, and here they are, still got I don't think they're going to get there.
No, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs either, but...
The fact that they got the doors open is absolutely stunning. And considering the fact that BC, remember we were talking about 5 games in, is BC the best team? Got a one-way...
Yeah, now they're slipping.
And I think it has to do with the fact that Nathan Rourke just hasn't had enough time to work with the team. I'm thinking they're going to get it together. They got, what, 6 games left? 7 games left?
Yeah, and then they have their game... BC's playing in Halifax today, actually, against Ottawa.
That's an Ottawa home game, right?
BC home game.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Any event, that's got to be
a big win for Ottawa in that case.
If they do.
Well, I'm just saying it's like a win in the sense that like it's a neutral site game, but they're the road team, so they don't lose a home game.
Oh, okay. That keeps their status there. I think the most interesting thing is that the Montreal Alouettes are 18-1 when their starting quarterback finishes a game.
Wow. And they're 10-1 on the season this year.
And they're 10-1. And the only game that they lost is when their quarterback got hurt against the Argos.
Yeah, Fajardo.
Yeah. But you think about that. That's an amazing stat. You're 18-1 in your last 19 games when your quarterback finishes the game. Whew. Does that make Alouettes the front runner to win all this stuff?
Of course they are.
Have to be. Good luck at Alouettes, even though I hope Toronto can beat them.
When was the last time the CFL East was this much better than the West? I can't even think of a time.
Never. Not in recent history. They haven't been. It's always we just wait and see how badly the West can beat up on the East. It's not happening this year.
Because a lot of time in my lifetime, I remember like the West would snatch up that third seed because of the crossover rule, because the third place team in the East was garbage. It'd be like Toronto or Hamilton, just not very good.
Yes, or even Ottawa, or whoever the case may be. But
Ottawa's been pretty good since they've come back, though. They've had some lean years, but I mean they already have a great cup.
Point well taken. And not only that, I think that their organizational management infrastructure is played the game very smartly, especially picking up the Canadians that they've picked up. Because Canadian starters, which is always good. I think Ottawa is one of the top teams in the league with Canadian starters. I heard somewhere from Dave Neighbors or one of those guys there.
Dave Naylor?
Dave Naylor, yeah. We're talking about that and how you structure.
I interviewed him. He's a good guy.
Yeah. I've seen him recently. Yeah, he knows that he plays, he covers NFL. So listen to the guy because he has great nuances to compare the two leagues.
Sure.
And how they are important to each other in weird ways.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean? Very much so. So anyway, Argos, Chad Kelly. Let's forget about everything else that's happening. The 2 biggest names in football in the CFL are Nathan and Chad. Let's see where they get for the rest of the season.
Let's see. Unfortunately, we have to report on some dumbassery in the CFL with defensive lineman of the Alouettes, Sean Lemon, found betting on his own team's games.
Should be barred. It should be barred, right? Like what else you say? You can gamble anytime you want.
Just not in your own league.
Okay, so
a 13-year veteran too.
I think is when he's trying to get some money going out the door.
You can't wait till you're retired?
I heard Luke Wilson, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, and he had a cup of coffee with the Detroit Lions. He said it best. You knew in the dressing room, every guy knew the point spread. Every guy knew what was going on. He said, now he bets on football games all the time. Why?
He's retired.
He's retired, but he goes to think about doing something that while you're wearing a uniform and you're part of the monolith is absolutely insane. So you know what?
Beyond stupid.
Thank you very much. Do you feel sorry for this guy?
No.
We'll never hear from him again.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
And not only that, you've taken away from the integrity of the game.
Yes, you did.
That's the most damaging thing. So goodbye, buddy. Good riddance.
Goodbye, but hello to Caitlin Clark, who has helped her team claw back to 500, the Indiana Fever, and they are now they're still the 7th seed, but they're clawing up catching up to the number 6 seed, Phoenix Mercury. They beat Chicago last night, further cementing that Caitlin Clark is the rookie of the year. Should be unanimous rookie of the year, despite ESPN saying that Angel Reese was number 1 in their rankings.
Can I tell you why? No, we're not going to go down that road, okay?
Oh, you mentioned race baiting before. So.
Yes, okay. But the bottom line is, we discussed last week the numbers she brings in to eyeballs on the screen during the games. That cannot be denied.
Not that matters for Rookie of the Year.
No, because it's your performance on the field. So now, on the court, now her performance cannot be denied. They have some of the best metrics since the 3 games before the Olympics and beyond, which is, I think, a team coming together, understanding the way that Caitlin plays.
Her turnovers are trending downward.
Yes, because people are catching the passes. They're playing a little bit more defense. I don't think they're really going to go anywhere in the playoffs.
They could pull an upset in round 1. I mean, they've beaten Connecticut recently, right? So
biggest win in a long time for them, which is a legitimate contender for the championship in the WNBA. However, my belief is this: is we're going to talk about the WNBA. We do have to talk about the best player in the league.
A'ja Wilson.
She's unbelievable. She's much CTV. You know what I mean?
Leads the league in points, blocks. She's second in rebounds, second in steals. Only 1.4 turnovers compared against 2.3 assists per game. 52% from the field, 35% from 3, 86% from the charity stripe.
Unbelievable numbers, and not only that, she is a runaway choice for MVP. I don't even think it's
should be unanimous.
Yes, no doubt. And I think it is, because that brings more eyeballs to the TV too, because just because you have a phenomenon like Caitlin Clark, which is amazing, we can't forget about the other people in this league that are in the top tier, and led by A'ja Wilson. I found an interesting quote talking about how great A'ja Wilson is. Out of nowhere, Brittany Griner has decided that she may be the GOAT.
I didn't realize that you get to decide your own GOAT status.
That's what I'm just saying.
I mean, Michael Jordan does that, but...
Well, he's Jordan. Come on. Like, he's one of one. I always think it's interesting because all it does is it's just clickbait and content for everybody talking about sports like us. I mean, she's a great player and all, but I'm not going to give her GOAT status. Like, what has she won? She has won an MVP, though, right? And a championship, I believe.
I believe so.
But, I mean, there's a lot of players in the league that have come before.
I mean, she's very good.
She's outstanding. She's a great player. But when you pronounce yourself as the GOAT, let everybody else do that. Let everybody else decide that. That's why we're here. You go on the court, do your thing, and we'll go from there. But anyways, I think the WNBA playoffs, which have got a little bit more higher profile than they have had in years, should be very interesting and very entertaining. So keep paying attention, people.
Yes, Indiana has 8 games left on the season. Basically, October is when playoffs start, so we'll be keeping our eye on that, and especially with a Toronto team just down the road.
Down the road. We're gonna take our chances of putting in a opportunity for a team name, don't you think?
Yeah, I believe there's an official vote that came out.
And you got to what? The end of October, right?
I think so.
I think we should start flooding it in. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if the team was named like the Toronto Cruises? I like that. You know what I mean? You know, you can even spell it with a K in case you don't want to think that I'm getting involved in this. But I mean, I'm throwing that out there because, you know, we could cruise to the championship.
There we go.
You know what I mean? Everybody, keep your eye on it. There's some good games coming up, and we always like to tell people about coming out to see the highest level of competition. I've seen some good WNBA games, and I'm going to proceed to watch some more.
All right. We'll move this along to football, mostly the NFL, though, although we have a little bit of college talk. So college football did begin last night, I guess, officially.
Yeah, because it was week 0 in Dublin, Ireland, which I brought up last week, which was a huge upset. Georgia Tech beating Florida State. Just think, Florida State whined all last year about not making the playoffs. Now, if they win their conference, they're already in because of the 12-man team.
Yes.
They go overseas, and they lay an egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a great way to start the season. I thought it was well presented. And even like last night going into Labor Day, what was it, Thursday night? There was 21 college football games on.
Wow. On
a Thursday night, and it went on last night, and of course there's a slate today that you can watch college football, I think, from noon till midnight today, if you're that much of a junkie.
Till probably 1 a.m., 1:30.
Yeah, 1:30.
Because New Mexico, Arizona kicks off at 10:30, so.
There you go. Big shout out to my University of Michigan Wolverines, the defending national champions. I don't know what to expect. They got a tough game tonight, national TV. against Fresno, who's a high-powered offense, but we should be beating them. I think
you guys are favored by 3 touchdowns, so
I think that point spread's a little too high. I think we'll win by 10 or 15 because we got a lot of new players coming in.
Still, I don't think there's any chance you guys lose that game.
Not in the big house.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming in with the national championship.
Mind you, different coach. A lot of the guys are gone. There's a reason why they're ranked number 9.
Okay, so let's put it this way. I heard it from an expert who said this. People don't realize a lot of these guys that are on the Michigan team, especially on defense, they were moving out with other guys. A lot of these guys took 30 snaps a game at least during the national championship run. They weren't the starters, but they were out there for 30 snaps. What does that make them? Some of these guys moving into starters' roles will probably move up and show themselves to be the starters that they are. But I'm just a biased Michigan guy, so let's look at it from that way. Oh, and by the way, I didn't want to watch it, but it's been highly suggested. There's a new, Netflix documentary. What do they call those? It's done by LeBron James and Carter Maverick. Team of making it, but there's the about the cheating scandal in Michigan. I wasn't going to watch it because I just didn't want to see Michigan get bashed into the ground for cheating. However, they were talking about the psychopathic nature of this Scallops guy. I heard it's an amazing documentary just to look at this guy's dedication to Michigan and wanting them to win is unparalleled in the history of sports. That's what I'm hearing. Like what this guy has gone through since a kid. He joined the Army to learn deciphering.
All right.
Now look what he did. Watch it just to see some of the minutia that this guy put together to steal signs and that. And what is coming out in this too is a lot of other coaches have admitted it's going on in every game. This guy just took it to a level of insanity. Like, I mean, it's also a sociopathic desire for a team to win. Did Harbaugh know or did Harbaugh not know?
I don't know.
Anyway, there's a Bro-Ohio guy that got on there that they say really tried to, because, there's one of the biggest rivalries in sports is
right, Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah.
Well, a guy came on there to try to debunk and bash Michigan, which I heard is a very interesting way of looking at it with a rivalry this big. But I heard it's highly recommended. I wasn't going to watch it, but I'm actually going to sit down and watch it with my wife, who loves documentaries.
There we go.
So it should be interesting.
So the top 5 for college going into the season, we have Alabama at number 5, Texas at number 4, Oregon at number 3 with 1 first-place vote in the AP polls, Ohio State at 2 with 15 first-place votes, and then number 1 should be no surprise, Georgia with 46 first-place votes.
Georgia's lost a lot of players too, and nobody's talking about that. The consensus is it might be Oregon, but let's see how they've never played the type of football because they moved to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So the style of football could change. That could affect them. It could not. Maybe that high-flying offense could come in and have make the Big Ten look differently. But it's also different because of the 12-team playoff this year is definitely changed the whole landscape of how we're going to be looking at things in December.
Yeah, so the Big Five conference winners, they're going to get an automatic top 5 seeds, and then it's going to be the next 7 best.
And if you get the top 5, you get a home playoff game, so that'll be something to hunt for.
Well, top 8 in general. The top 8 seeds get a home playoff game, so yeah.
It should be
and then top 4 division or top 4 conference winners get a bye.
They get a bye to boot. So it should be interesting. You know what it does? It just gives the opportunity, like, for example, they mentioned it, which is interesting, and they brought up my team. Texas and Michigan play, I think, week 3. That's a huge game. Just a year ago or 2 years ago, if you lost that game, that could potentially put you out of the playoff picture in week 3.
But now you have a little bit more wiggle room.
Exactly, which probably brings more fans to the table because it keeps your program in it longer.
Yeah.
Keeps you more interested. So it should be a good football season.
Should be.
Definitely different than any season we've ever had before.
Absolutely. So we'll talk now about the NFL. So big news out of Pittsburgh camp is that Russell Wilson will start week 1 for the Steelers. Not really a surprise given that Tomlin kept making comments about Wilson essentially having pole position with that competition. So Justin Fields is going to have to earn the job, which I kind of saw the whole time.
Well, you know what it is? It's a turnover thing. You know what I mean? And to me, when Russ cooks, it's very interesting because they say that he's a guy that doesn't give up the ball. He's low on turnovers. He protects the ball like a game manager.
I was going to say, I don't think it's going to matter really either way who's the quarterback because Pittsburgh's offense is abysmal.
Their O-line is a disaster. So guess what? He's not going to have any turnovers because the amount of times he's going to get sacked.
Yeah.
Holding on to the ball too long. So what do you want? A guy that takes a chance of throwing the ball downfield, or do you want a guy that gets sacked? That's what it's going to boil down to. And turnovers always lose games, so I understand Tomlin's thinking to begin the year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. But I think Fields is going to get his chance.
Yeah, I think like week 3, week 4, Fields is going to find the field.
Unless they can find some wide receivers, because no matter
Not this late.
Well, maybe one of the guys on the team is going to be developed. You never know. There's always those guys that come out of nowhere that we didn't hear at the beginning of the season.
But offensive line, you said it right there.
They have issues.
Where's the protection going to be?
I don't know. But you got to understand this, though. Russell Wilson still throws one of the best deep balls of all quarterbacks in the league. You know what I mean? So if they have the
Fields is a good deep ball thrower, too.
Except he throws it sometimes into the other guy's arms. That's his issue. So we're going to have to wait and see. It's an interesting play in one of the...
Mid-range is more of Fields' problem, though, isn't it?
Yes, he doesn't know how to throw a 10-yard pass.
He's good, like, within 10 or, like...
way down the field. But you know what that does? It just leaves him taking off more. That way, you know, an historic franchise like Pittsburgh, I hope they do better. Their fan base deserves it. They're only paying Russell Wilson $1 million. So that's very comfortable. We'll see. It's one of the more interesting quarterback battles, which I think there are going to be a bunch of this year in the NFL.
We had a couple contract extensions for wide receivers. So CeeDee Lamb gets a 4-year extension in Dallas worth $136 million. And then Brandon Ayuk signs a 4-year extension to stay with San Francisco worth $120 million.
Okay. Let's discuss this because I have an issue. First of all, everybody knows how much I love agents. Okay, so let's start with that. What's going on in the NFL, which I find interesting, is the guaranteed contract situation, which is stricter than any sport in the world. Mm-hmm. We got it. That makes a competitive balance for everybody. I get it. However, when you come into the league and you sign for 5 years, that's CBA mandated. Somehow the agents have got around that to say, I want my guy to get more guaranteed money going into his 6th year because he's proven that he's gotten there. What are they going to do to change this? Because Ayuk's now signed, CeeDee Lamb's all signed. The money that they talked about was there at the beginning of training camp. What took them so long? Agents playing games, the trade's not going through? Because what ends up happening is the reason Ayuk didn't get traded is everyone knows he wouldn't sign with another team. Like he said, I'm not taking Pittsburgh's money. I'm not taking Washington's money. Who was the third team?
New England?
I'm not taking New England's money. And he was smart to stay because his best chance at Super Bowl is probably where he's at.
Sure.
However, what gets me going is that all these agents saying what your value is, what your potential is. You signed the 5-year deal. That's not valid anymore, it seems to me. And what's even worse, which we heard from Bill Belichick, which I agree with, Jamar Chase came in looking for an extension on his contract. He's got 2 years left. Now he's in camp now.
Yeah.
Because here's the basic rule of the game. And this was CBA contract. Jamar Chase, not only do you have to play the next 2 years of your contract, you could be franchise tagged for 2 more years after that. So I think in the next CBA, something's going to go on with this tag situation because that seems to be what pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
You don't get more of your guarantees.
If it was up to me, I'd get rid of the franchise tag.
So how do you keep these guys in line when they sign the original contract?
I think that it's becoming an issue because of the franchise tag, though.
You think?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be tagged.
That's the problem.
Okay, so now what you've done is, let's put it this way. CeeDee Lamb was not a great rookie. He evolved to where he is now. That's what you say. That's the reason you sign the guys you develop and get there. Now suddenly you get there. You want to jump the fence to take even more when we don't know what your value really is going to be. It's just a market set. You know, the next guy gets more. The next guy gets more. I believe that something's got to change in the fact that you got to respect that contract. Now, when we're talking about this in holdouts, the Trent Williams one is the most interesting to me because he has a contract for this year. However, the guarantees have already been paid. Now, he wants more guarantees. Is that right or is that wrong? I don't know. He's the best lineman in football.
Agreed.
So what do we do now? He's still got a great contract. He's still going to make his $20 million this year, but he wants more guarantees. When you signed in the first place, should not be respected. That's my point. I don't understand this. Like, you got your money, you got your guarantees, you got your signing bonus.
But in the real world, like, people are allowed to renegotiate their contracts.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're not. But if you're the guy that's holding it, if you go into your boss's office right now and you say, I've done this. This is my production. Here's my name on the table. And they're going to say, but Melanie, we signed you to pay you this. You think they're going to suddenly give you a raise?
Depends.
Hopefully. My son got an amazing raise I've never heard of in a long time. Zach, you should realize your raise was off the charts considering the way the economy is these days. My point is, we still have a plantation owner type attitude.
Absolutely.
Coming from the top. We know that. However, where the agents come into this game telling their players what to do to circumvent the situations that's been CBA negotiated confuses me. Like, when do you...
Everyone's looking for a loophole. Again, that's just like, that's business.
Agreed, it's business, but I signed you up. I gave you the money. I gave you your signing bonus.
Give the player the fine then.
That's what I say. Go for it. But then they always say that those fines secretly disappear once the guy shows up at the practice field. So what threat is that? You think CeeDee Lamb's getting fined for anything?
Well, Jerry Jones has admitted they weren't going to fine him.
Further boost.
But if that's the way he wants to run his team, like, who cares?
That's his team.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that.
I'm a libertarian, so.
Okay, and that's nothing wrong with that. I know where you're coming from. As a fan who watches the game, and I'm supposed to respect what's going on in the world today, one of them being contracts, I'm more and more every year there seems to be going on. You signed already. Didn't you just say, well, then why don't you only sign 3 years? Well, the guy wants the 5 years because he's a rookie, and if he screws up like our guy O'Cuna, he's the poster child for this. He also got his 5 years. Where is he now? On a practice squad some year. And the Detroit Lions drafted him, what, 7th or 8th?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And what did he do? He didn't get his second contract from Detroit. They shifted him out of town so they wouldn't have to pay that money that's contractually obligated due to the metrics put into the CBA. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where I'm going with this, or what I'm saying is that I just think...
I don't think the league knows where they're going with this either. But something's got to give.
That's
next
what I'm
CBA.
Saying. Next CBA, which is what, 2 years away? 3 years
It's
away?
coming up.
It's going to be there. Anyways, we're going to keep our eye on that because it's very interesting. You know what I mean?
Yep. A couple more things with the league. Tom Brady came out that if he becomes a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, he would have restrictions put on him in broadcasting. So a lot of these make sense to me because it is a conflict of interest. Like, he wouldn't be able to go into like teams' facilities and see their practices, which 100% I agree with. There'd be gambling restrictions, obviously, on him. The one that I don't quite get, though, is he wouldn't be allowed to attend the broadcast, like, pre-production meetings.
That's the one he shouldn't be allowed in most.
Why do you say that?
Because there's a lot of things that are said off the record in there. A lot of nuances about teams that are said going on. Madden said that his favorite thing about it was going to production meetings.
Yeah, but can't that just be said, like, out there anyways, though? So
what it is...
It's a pre-production meeting. Like, that's just for you to get on the same page as your team.
Oh, and understand what's going on with the little things that you can bring up during the course of the game that you've learned inside the pre-production.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, sometimes they're talking about strategy. Sometimes they're talking about why they don't like this guy, why they want to play this guy. You know what I mean? Tom gets
right, but the teams aren't involved in that, though.
In the production meetings, they talk about everything.
Okay, so but it's all information that's out there, though. So I don't get why he wouldn't be able to attend that.
Because there's a code of things said in the room that don't leave that room. Now that's information that Brady could funnel back to the Raiders if they're playing a team during a certain game. Hence the reason that you said it's a conflict of interest. So if you review the practices, someone's always looking at the practices, drones, spies,
South
whatever
Canada,
bullshit, whatever case may be. I hear what you're saying. However, I'm just saying I think the production meeting is the number one reason that they got to keep him out. Number one. Everyone knows it's a history, what goes on there. That's a code. There's no rules. What's the difference between rules and codes? Men?
Well, rules are official.
Okay.
Code is like a little bit more like...
nuanced.
Yeah, well, it's more like an understanding.
Okay, so there's understanding that goes on in those production meetings, that things are said that we'll never hear. Brady's going to take that information, and they say, well, it's the integrity of the man. Oh, I agree. Once you're in there, because there's never been an announcer that said anything that's ever gone into a production meeting or then never get into one again the rest of their life.
Sure.
But this is Tom Brady. So he could do this. Not go to the production meetings. $300 million is he getting from...
yeah.
Okay. That's last time, that's a lot of cake. I don't think he's going to turn that down. Mark Davis wants him definitely part of the ownership for that prestige kind of label. So I say that Brady has a chance of having his cake and eat it too if he wants to.
Sure.
Don't you agree? You think he will?
I think so.
You think he's going to do both?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you think he's going to back out of being a Raiders owner?
I think he'll get the chance down the road. Let's see what he does on that. That's my guess. Can't turn down $300 million.
No, he's definitely keeping the TV job. I agree.
Okay, so I think what he's going to do is the first year he's going to decide and he'll say, hey, Mark, you're going to give me this offer's not going to go away.
Sure.
So you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to he goes into the booth and let's talk about this next year. I bet you we revisit.
Okay.
And you know what? I hope Brady does whatever he wants because he's one of my favorite players. Come on. He went to Michigan.
We know.
Okay.
Keeping this with ownership, the NFL made a change where equity groups are now going to be able to take up to 3% of NFL teams, and in total, NFL teams can give up 10% to these firms. So this opens the door for corporations to buy teams down the road.
Eventually,
maybe Toronto.
Oh, that's coming. We know where we're at. We're 5 minutes from the stadium when they're going to build it. I'm taking that to the bank. I haven't stopped. Doug Ford, win another election. Here comes the NFL.
He might not, but...
Oh, I think he is. I think he's going to win going away, but we're not a political show. Anyways, the bottom line is this. I do believe the arena is going to be here, and I think that's an interesting... Stadium. I think that's an interesting fact that you brought up as the backdoor way for Toronto to get in. Okay.
Or any corporation for that matter.
Well, then that means we got these places from the Middle East that might try to muscle their way in too. So you could be careful what you wish for.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's interesting.
Although if you look at Premier League, it's like, wee. A little tease for later, but.
I'm just going to tell you this much. The NFL and the Premier Leagues are completely different animals on how they've operated, and that's historically how they have operated.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of backdooring coming into the NFL due to the fact that a lot of these teams are run by old money and families. Now, putting in the equity, that's just extra profit for every team.
Sure.
That's all it is, and it's an investment thing. So we're going to have to wait to see what's going on. I thought it was extremely interesting considering the NFL only wants one owner for the longest time.
Yeah.
You remember? And now all of this has changed. Money changes everything, bro.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So I have a question for you. So you always pick on the Argos and the Blue Jays for wearing their light blue, but why is it okay for your Detroit Lions to wear light blue?
We're Honolulu blue. Get this straight. It's not. It's Honolulu blue. Don't start with
it's
this.
Light blue.
Milani.
It's light blue.
Stop it. It's Honolulu blue. There's teal. There's robin egg blue. There's what else do you call it? There's 100 blues. Do not even associate my Detroit.
But they're light blue. Light blue is light blue.
The Honolulu blue is rich. You can't call that light. It's a rich color. Don't ever say light blue and the Detroit Lions again.
It is light blue.
That's insulting.
If you ask most people,
I'm trying to have a good day, and you just I'm already having trouble with Detroit's new uniform that's coming out. Have you seen that one yet?
I don't believe so.
I'm old. I'm just what's with this nonsense? And at least they got rid of the gray yoga pants. Okay, at least we got rid of those. But we're not a light blue team. We're Honolulu blue, bro.
Honolulu blue is the light blue.
Okay, let's just say it this way. There's sky blue and there's ocean blue. They're not the same.
Oh my God, this is like, there's eggshell and there's white.
That's what I'm saying. So I do not associate the Detroit Lions with...
Oh my God, go to art school, you nerd.
No. This isn't like when you get a baby and you put him in and you say it's the boy color blue. That's light blue. This is Honolulu blue, and I'm taking it to the bank. Don't ever associate my Detroit Lions with baby colors. Thank you.
I didn't say baby blue. I just said light blue.
Whatever. You're just picking at scabs here now. Trying to wreck my day. We got enough issues with the Detroit Lions already to start talking about their uniforms. And their new ones aren't bad. They're looking kind of traditional, but they're not light blue.
They're light blue.
Okay, listen, the house that happens...
I will challenge you. Ask 100 people what colors, without leading them, just ask them, what color is this? You will get 100 light blues.
Okay, house that happens, people that listen, we're going to leave it up to you. And if you start using this light blue stuff on me, I'm not going to say I'm going to be irritated. I'm going to be completely irritated. It's Detroit Lions we're talking about. Historical franchise, what does it say on my shirt?
1934.
1930.
That's my Nono's birth year.
Oh, cool.
The one who we celebrated his birthday, yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if he should have been a Lions fan. And I bet you he's not going to call it light blue.
He does not care for football. He'll watch some Argos games just because they're Toronto, but that's it.
Well, that's because he's old school. Not growing up with that. But he doesn't miss a soccer game, does he?
He watches a lot of City A.
Yeah, that's cool. So once again, we're going to end this this color situation with do not disgrace a 1934 conceived team in the NFL.
I'm not disgracing anybody.
Blue.
I'm just pointing out the fact that they wear light blue.
Honolulu blue with a capital H.
Light blue with a capital L. Light blue with the capital L. Hold this L.
Killing me.
Hold this L.
Just killing me.
Just admit you lost the debate.
Just killing me. And I know what, I'm going to hear it from guys like Pick. BOH, they're all on me. You open a can of worms here. I'm going to be arguing.
Thank you very much.
Get out of here, all of you. Every single one of you.
We'll turn this over to European football footy, if you will, where I want to start things off with some funny sponsorships I noticed.
Yes, give them to us.
So Ligue 1, the French Premier League, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you know who their main sponsor is?
Who's that?
McDonald's.
Oh, I've heard outrage about that from the.
I mean, McDonald's sponsors the Olympics too, so it's like.
Okay, I got you, but people with feet on the ground in Paris and in France aren't happy with this, eh?
It's clearly just about the money, so.
Oh, once again, money changes everything. That could be the name of the show, but we probably used it already.
I don't think so, actually. That's a good one.
Okay, but the bottom line is, we understand it from a corporate point of view.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? We're not going to argue with that. But I mean, people that are, that's like, you know what? People are just as angry about McDonald's getting in there as I'm pissed off about the Honolulu Blue misinterpretation. I think it's the same level of grief over there because I have heard there's a groundswell where people are saying, what? Because it's American. You know what I mean? And,
yep.
And as much as Europe loves American culture, they really don't. They call that a little brother. They got no history. They got no culture. They've only been here 250 years.
But they go to McDonald's.
All the time.
Yeah,
so it's the hypocrisy of hypocrisies, really.
It's just funny. And then Udinese, the Italian club, have Pepe the Frog sponsored on their shoulder. Do you know who Pepe is?
No.
He's a cartoon character. He's from like a webcomic. He's the feel good man frog or feels good man.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, but like, he was labeled a symbol of like white supremacy by Hillary Clinton in the 2016. It's complete nonsense though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the feels good man frog. Like, come on, that's what it, or feels bad man.
And somehow you twisted it around to be what? Hillary. That's why you're not president.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
That's why you're not president. However, I am reading a book by Andy Nigo, I think, how do you say his name, about all this underbelly of political violence and stuff that's going on.
Antifa and that stuff.
And all that stuff. It's a very fascinating book in this way. Sometimes
he was attacked, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And if you look at his book is absolutely fascinating. I thought I knew stuff about it. Oh my God, this book is blowing me out of the water. In the sense when you're talking about Hillary turning this character into something else, what governments actually do to validate terrorists in America is scary.
Yeah, we will.
So what's his name, Pepe?
Pepe the Frog.
I'm going to get one on my shirt as quickly as I can just because I like to feel good. It's all right. When we getting Snoopy on a football jersey?
Actually, I saw Snoopy watch. I'm like, oh, I want that so bad.
Oh, I want one too. I've been watching. The
Timex came out with a bunch of Snoopy watches. So.
I'm following a Snoopy site now.
Nice.
I'm on a Snoopy site. It makes my day every time.
Like the comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow one of those too on Facebook.
I have to follow it only because what does Snoopy do negative?
Nothing.
Oh, one.
Well, he's a little bit of a brat sometimes.
So am I. I can relate totally. Only one little blemish on Snoopy's character is he's got to shoot down the Red Baron one day.
Well, Snoopy, like, he fails out a lot, which is kind of what makes him relatable.
Oh, right.
He plays tennis. He's not a very good tennis player.
Great baseball player. Good shortstop.
Sure. Although
hey, Chuck, that shortstop's got a big nose, man. That shortstop's sure got a big nose.
The big nose kid.
Yeah, the big nose kid there, yeah.
Keep moving back to soccer. So the transfer window officially closed yesterday. The two transfers this week that caught my eye were Chiesa, the Italian national, going to Liverpool.
Okay. And
Romelu Lukaku, the big Belgian, going to Napoli. So his controversial time in Chelsea is now over.
I'm thinking he's glad he's got out of there.
Absolutely.
With that guy, the owner contracting people and you're never getting on the field, which is another insane
Lukaku
thing.
just clashes with everybody. So there's a reason why every 2 years he gets sold somewhere.
Okay, but can you explain something to people like me that are an amateur to this in some respects, and maybe it'll open up to some of our listeners, is this transfer thing ends so that people can't jack their team later down the road, right?
Well, there's going to be another transfer window in January.
Yeah, but the season's well on its way by
Yeah,
then.
they're halfway through. Yeah.
So, but you can't. So, it means you can add a player then? Is that like a deadline thing or whatever?
Well, you can still agree to trade a player or whatever, sell a player now, but like it won't take place till January now because the window's closed.
So they can't play until then either, right?
No, I think you'd still be allowed to play.
Okay, so now it's tomorrow. There's no more.
But not with the new team. You still have to play for your old team.
See, that's like a F1 thing that kind of weirds me out. That's what goes on, right? So he couldn't play until then. So what's the deal on the? Then why do they have a deadline?
Well, because you can't make your way to the new team like when September 1st happens.
Oh, okay. So it is kind of a weird trade deadline, right?
Yeah, there's
way.
two during the year, essentially.
Oh, okay.
There's a summer window, which is July, August, and there's a January one.
I think it keeps that way so you can't stack your team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works, keeps a competitive balance. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I wanted to know that because I heard something on TV about that, trying to keep up on what's going on in the Premier Leagues in Europe. And I heard about this thing, and I didn't quite. That's why I want you to explain it. I wasn't quite sure, like, how does that work? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's for stacking teams. That's what I got out of it. So, yeah, maybe we're there.
So, looking around the European leagues, Juve is top of Serie A with a perfect 2-0 record right now. Milan is winless after 2 games, losing 2-1 at Parma. So, with a loss and a draw now on the year. Barcelona 3-0 at the top of the table in La Liga. Manchester City lost at Brighton 2-1, a bit of an upset, even though it was in Brighton on the road.
It's still an upset, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Chelsea had a big game at Wolverhampton with Noni Madueke with a natural hat trick to open the second half, leading Chelsea to a 6-2 win. Manchester City's Erling Haaland had a hat trick versus Ipswich Town in a 4-1 win. And those were the big ones basically over the weekend.
Man U and Chelsea really had to win this week, though, didn't they? Or there would have been disruptions in their cities.
Well, Chelsea especially.
Yeah.
Well, Man U didn't get it done.
No.
But Man U's probably got the match of this weekend where they're going to be playing Liverpool.
Ooh, that's a huge game.
Another big match this weekend is Lille and PSG playing each other in the French league.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge game. I've been looking at the nuances at the top of the league. I find it fascinating, the thing about European soccer and those Premier Leagues and the Bundestag and La Liga.
Bundesliga.
Whatever. Those teams, there's certain teams like the Yankees or the Lakers that dominate these leagues for like generations. Like, you know, they're going to be.
Well, Barcelona and Madrid, you know, they're going to be like 1-2 every year in La Liga.
Is that money?
Yeah.
All money.
Those are like, depending, they're like usually like, they're both always like top 3 most valuable soccer teams.
Oh, I
and
heard.
up there like in the world,
I was just going to say, they're like
just all sports.
Like if you talk about the top 20 franchises in the world, those teams are going to be mentioned immediately. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It blows my mind. But I think to me, it's a weird, and I don't want to use the C word, but there just seems to be something, I don't know how to explain it. Like you can sign a 14-year-old and keep him on ice for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Shit like that. Like, so that means like people are scouring the earth watching kids' games to sign them up. Like, isn't there a Brazilian kid that's already signed at 16? Another kid that signed at 14.
That happens all the time, yeah.
That's crazy ass shit, man. That means that's generational. That means you've already, you know what it reminds me of? Like back in the day in the hockey in the 60s, all of a sudden Toronto got the 2 guys from here and Montreal got their
Yeah, there's no draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what makes it bizarre. There'll never be a draft in soccer, will there?
No. Well, even like MLS, they only have one just for collegiate players. For players coming out of college.
And that's North American related, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But you could still develop like your own talent. You could still pluck kids and like have them in your academy.
Toronto FC has a kid in their academy, don't they?
Well, I'm sure they have several. I don't know how good they are.
Okay. But it's the same theory over here, correct?
Exactly. It works the same.
Interesting.
Also, Champions League had their draw this week, and they completely revamped the format this year. So instead of just being in a group of 4, and now all 36 teams, it's up from 32 to 36. You're ranked 1 from 36, and it's 9 pots, and you play 1 team from each of the other pots.
Oh.
So it's more even, basically. And then you're ranked 1 through 36. Top 8 get an automatic bye to the round of 16. teams 9 through 24 have to play a play-in game to get to the round of 16. And then the other teams, you're just done.
You know what's interesting?
And it works for this now there's now 3 levels of competition for Europe. So there's Champions League, Europa League, and Continental League.
That's what blows me away about the seasons within a season over there. But, I mean, the fan interest goes through the roof, and the ratings on these games on TV are off the charts.
Oh, Champions League final is
off the
always
charts.
like one of the most watched events, like not even
Super
sports.
Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it gets Super Bowl numbers.
Yeah, not only that, but I heard it's also some of the highest gambling.
I believe it.
There's some of the gambling things on there, which is interesting because I think they expanded it just like they did like sort of the college football team, that everybody still has a kick at the can. Isn't that the reason they changed the format?
Yeah, just to make things more fair. There's a lot of cynics out there saying this is just a response to the European Super League, but I mean, if it makes the competition better, who cares?
Well, if it keeps the Super League out of the picture, I like that. Because my opinion, when I first heard of the Super League, being the ignoramus I am of the history of European soccer, I'm thinking, hey, what a great idea. Oh, that means you get to kick everybody in the head and ignore them? That's when I took a big picture look at it and said, no, that's not right. You're taking away from the tradition. Like, what if a team sneaks in and gets there? Like, say, Aaron Mills.
Well, it didn't take away from, like, Premier League or, like, Champions League. Those would have still existed. This just would have been another competition in addition to that.
Yeah, but they eventually would have pulled away and said, this is what we're going to do anyway. You know what I mean? It's like the super conferences in football. That's what I thought they were building. I always want the chance for the little guy. I like when Goliath gets his ass kicked now and again. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if they had that Super League, that might have impaired the possibility of a smaller team like Brumley.
Although David doesn't usually win in Champions League either.
No,
it's always Goliath.
Well, that's what we mentioned, the Barcelonas.
Madrid won last year, who's the winningest all-time Champions League team.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. But I still think that, you know, if you're from a smaller town somewhere, you always want your team to have the opportunity to get into the door. To shut it completely just ignores the fan base or not respects the fan base. So anytime it opens it, as long as it doesn't dilute the quality of the play on the field, I'm good with that.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's time for our goal of the week. It's going to be a new segment here at the House That Happens for European football. So my pick for goal of the week is Cole Palmer from Chelsea. No bias on my part. It was an amazing play against Wolverhampton. Nicholas Jackson, the keeper, Robert Sanchez, kicked the ball upfield to Nicholas Jackson and kind of gave it a little tap over to his teammate on the side, and Cole Palmer shot it out from 25 yards, catching the keeper off guard with a pretty hard shot.
Okay, so I had the Manchester Man City guy.
Holland?
Yes, I thought that was probably a nicer goal. However, what you made me do is I went and looked on the score, and I looked at the highlights, and I looked at both goals, and I'm going to say that you're probably right about that, just because of the distance and the velocity. I thought that the Man City goal looked cooler, but not really, because you got to say that it was a little closer. It was probably a goal. A nice goal, though.
Sure.
It was a very nice goal, but you think about the velocity of that goal, it's great. We can't forget that kid in Spain, though. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty cool goal.
Oh, Yamal had a great goal, too.
Yeah, that was right up there.
And he's already on the score sheet today, actually, with an assist. Wow. Barcelona's up 3-0.
But we will say, we talked about this at our production meeting, and not that I know anything. I'm glad you made me look it up, because I'm just being a Man City guy with Oasis and their light blue. That's their light blue.
So they're light blue.
They're light blue. That's light blue. Juventus of Turin is light blue.
What? No, they don't. They wear black and white stripes.
Well, what's the team in Italy that wears?
Napoli.
Oh,
and Lazio wears light blue as well.
Argentina wears light blue.
Detroit Lions wear light blue.
Stop it. They wear Honolulu blue. Okay.
Honolulu blue, light blue, tomato.
I wish Elvis was here. He'd correct that. He's a Hawaiian guy. Oh, my God. You know, he has those Honolulu blue.
Elvis died in 1977, sir.
He still lives. He's cooking hamburgers, or his nephew's cooking hamburgers in freaking Kalamazoo. Tupac's washing the dishes. Okay, get it straight.
Oh, my God. We'll move this along to the FedEx Cup with Scotty Scheffler nursing a lead in there, looking to become the PGA Golfer of the Year, arguably over Xander Schauffele.
The winner of this will definitely be golfer of the year, player of the year. They've really jacked the money. You know, this is a $25 million pot, eh?
Yep.
If you win it all. I just want to say that people are, like we talked about this last week, let's have an understanding here. Some of the players on the tour think that the playoffs is a joke. And I always said, wait a second, you take the top 50, you get to the 30, or you take that so many, you got to make the 50, you got to make the 30, and you go on. Mm-hmm. However, when you get to the last week, which is in East Lake in Atlanta, I believe it is, in any event, what ends up happening is now the grading changes. Because remember you said that you thought that Scheffler was so far ahead of Schauffele that there's no way he could win. However, they set it up on a stroke basis,
yes,
which is still an advantage because Scotty started at -10.
Yeah.
And, for example, Justin Thomas started at even. So when you start the tournament, you're already 10 strokes behind, which I think is an admirable lead, but it's not quite the lead that you get when the two previous rounds because your points seem to have more value. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So Scotty Scheffler's thing is, if I have one bad round, I'm out of it. So my whole season's gone on one bad round, which is an interesting way to put it. But aren't you supposed to put up at the time when you're going for the championship anyways? So what's the argument there? I'm not sure. I kind of like it. I like the competition. I think today is going to be a huge day. The winner could come at it today with the best round, I believe, because what? My boy Morikawa is suddenly putting because they got new greens, so everything's truer. So the putting has been more natural than I've seen in a lot of places because they just redid the track, they redid the greens. You're seeing 20-footers roll in, no problem. And I believe that Morikawa is probably one of the best iron guys, pro shot guys in the game. And he's now in second place. I think he's like 4 strokes back.
Schauffele?
Yeah.
Or
no,
Morikawa? Yeah, he's 4 strokes back.
And Schauffele's what, 5 back?
5.
Yeah, so it should be interesting today. It is move day in golf. I'm absolutely one of the things that I'm finding really interesting about it is that you can hit the ball long, but there's so many bunkers along the way. If you don't get in the fairway, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it should be very interesting. I think somebody's going to come out of the pack to challenge for tomorrow, but I think this is Scotty's time because in the history of the FedEx Cup, the farthest anyone's come back is 6 strokes. And that was Rory McIlroy 3 years ago. Like he started 6 years ago behind, and he's won the most FedEx Cups, by the way, with 3. But I was shocked. I didn't even realize that Scheffler's never won a FedEx Cup. He was the number 1 seed going into the last 3 years, and he hasn't won it. He had a 2nd and a 6th. Let's see what happens this year. I think he may be able to pull it off. He
should, and I mean, he's won the Players this year. He's won the Masters, and he has the Olympic gold medal. While Xander has the PGA Championship and the Open. So
I think that Xander's game's a little bit more solid now. He's the most solid. I watch a ton of golf, as you well know. He's been the most consistent golfer, I'd say, since he won the PGA Championship. He's been by far and away like his game. Like, for example, Adam Scott, if he didn't use that stupid broom putter, that guy'd be winning. Like, he can't putt. He couldn't put it in. You know what I'm saying? So Xander and his putting has been saving grace. He sunk 3 20-footers yesterday, 2 for par saves.
Wow.
Scheffler is not, his putting is up and down. Now
he's put up some good rounds, though.
Oh, yeah. Well,
especially yesterday, it was -5 yesterday, right?
Oh, his ball striking was unbelievable. He had a shot at about 8 birdies. He got about 4. Like, he had legitimate birdie chances, but his putting wasn't as good. But I like, Xander is more of a favorite of mine. I've always liked his game. But I really hope, in a weird way, I don't know who I'm cheering for. I kind of hope Scotty wins just because he has done the only one in the last 20, 25 years that has separated themselves farther from the pack than any player is Tiger Woods. Mm-hmm. The first person that's separated themselves, number 1, from the rest of the pack this big is Scotty. Now, there's a number of reasons they're saying that because a couple of those guys went to the LIV Tour. Would have been different if they were on the tour.
Right.
That could have made things differently. But the fact that he has separated himself that way, I hope he wins the FedEx Cup so he'll get that stature. You know what I mean? You need those little chips in your holster to show who you are. And he's a great golfer. So we'll see today. It's going to be a great round.
We'll see. So we'll move this along to the U.S. Open away in Queens, New York, where was not a great start for a bunch of our Canadians. Felix and Dennis out in round 1 in straight sets. Layla and Bianca losing in the 3rd set in both their round 1 matches. But Gabriel Diallo standing at 6'8" at age 22, is on to the third round.
That's amazing. And he's the most awkward-looking tennis player I've seen in a long time. You seen his game?
Unreal.
Oh, he looks awkward and big. It's just crazy. I do like what you've mentioned now about being in Queens, Forest Hill, the late night games. That's indigenous to New York City. You can't take that away. Now, like I say, because everyone was bitching about Djokovic's second round game was started at 10:15 at night.
What about last night? Sabalenka started after midnight.
Yeah, was it after midnight?
Yeah, they said it was the latest U.S. start in history.
Because the game before went 5 sets. So it got pushed back.
Yeah, she started at like 12:10 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't watch the entire thing, but
no, it was too late. You know what I mean? I had to get some sleep out of it. I just want to say one thing about the U.S. Open, and it's. I heard the great Michael Wilbon mention this, and I've thought about this myself. All sports are driven by superstars. To bring your eyes to the table, you need superstars.
And our two biggest men's superstars are out.
I'm not complaining about it. They were both terrible. And Alcaraz.
They were.
Alcaraz, is it a drama every point for this guy? Every point. See him smashing his racket in the first round, doing all this crazy ass shit. I think Djokovic just ran out of gas.
Yeah,
with the bad knee, the Italian won the gold medal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just ran out of gas. He looked tired last night. I never even heard of this kid. I forget his name. He's never beaten a top 10 player in his life.
Popyrin.
Yeah.
Ranked. He was the 28th seed.
Yeah. But he's never beat a top 10 opponent in a major ever till now. And the guy that beat Alcaraz is a good kid too. I think we're going to see a little bit more out of him. But what they're saying is it scares the rankings because the general public doesn't know. There's no Serena. There's no whoever. There's no Federer. There's no Nadal. There's no Agassi. There's no whatever. I don't know. I think that in a weird way, I don't like to look at it like that because the people.
Well, there are still some big names there. Like Medvedev is always now like kind of like a fan favorite there in New York, right?
Well, he's become the opposite. He's flipped the coin.
Is he now like the bad guy again?
No, he's suddenly changed his image. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they didn't like him at first, but then after he won, I think he kind of like they warmed up to him there, which is like that's the New York crowd basically, right?
And not only that, he's played better and he's taken away some of those stupid like his attitude. He's maybe had an attitude adjustment. I'm not sure, but he has to be considered one of the favorites now.
Yes, it's very interesting now because it's going to be him and Sinner. It's lining up where they're going to play each other in the quarterfinals.
Is Zverev still in, or did he get knocked out too?
Zverev?
Yeah.
He won his match last night.
So I think
so. He's on to the fourth round. He's going to play Nakashima.
Which is going to be, I'm glad you brought that kid's name up, 17-year-old. Getting to this round. If he wins this, he'll be the story of the tournament if he doesn't win another match. I think he has to go to the next level to get that name. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're watching it, to get the new guys coming up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you don't give them a chance, you just, Nadal's not playing, I can't watch that. I hate when people think like that because you still got great players on the court giving you the highest level of competition. And I like that. That's why I'm watching it. I've watched a lot of U.S. Open because I've got the time on my hands. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I think that Sinner's going to be there, but I think he's already taking a lot of hits on this PED scandal that went up. Mm-hmm. Like the word around the world is, how did this guy even get into the tournament?
Money.
It's ridiculous. I heard.
Well, like you said, they don't have Serena. There's no Federer. So they're like, number one seed, number one ranked player. Let's keep him in there.
Oh, gee, you think that had something to do with it?
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. But that's wrong on all levels.
I agree.
On all levels, like they were mentioning.
We talked about precedent a lot on the show lately, and this sets a pretty bad one.
Oh, an awful precedent because I forget the name of it. It starts with a C, the actual something, CHO something. Anyway, this is a high-performance drug. Everybody knows it. They go around the world. Swimmers, baseball players.
They all know to stay away.
Football players. They've all been nailed for half of what Sinners does, and they've all been suspended or kicked out of tournaments or whatever the case may be because of the integrity of the game. This guy's getting away with murder. What do you think they're going to say if he wins it all? Which is a very realistic possibility.
Nothing to see here.
I want to say one thing about the U.S. Open, and we talked about this off air, and you don't think it's going to change, but I wish they'd go back to you can't talk to your coach.
Yeah, I wish too. I think but that genie's out of the bottle. I don't think they're ever going to
some
go
of
the other way.
Tantrums and I'm taking my ball and going home bullshit that I've seen on some of the players is ridiculous. However, we know in the game of tennis, you've been catered since you're a kid.
Yeah, sure.
You know, you're to go all the way up the ladder. That's why I think some of our spoiled Canadians, they get to some point and they get complacent, and the next thing you know, they're getting knocked out in the first round. But that's another story. The bottom line is I'm getting tired of turning around with hand signals. The coach up yelling now from the boxes telling him what to do.
That's ridiculous.
Thank you. And I've never seen this. It's like it takes away something, maybe because I'm more of a traditionalist. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But, you know, if that was the rules for 1,000 years, why are they going to change it now?
I don't get that.
The number one perpetrator of this ridiculousness, and I want to say her name just because I was admiring her at this time last year because she won
this tournament last year, yeah.
My opinion about Coco Gauff is changing every match that I see her. You know what I mean? Prima donna is starting to be the number one word. Ooh. You know what I mean? Like you see some of her antics on the court are ridiculous. Even the way that she's looking at the umpire and the whole 9 yards. And she always seemed to be a hard-working, demure, let my talent speak for itself.
Yeah.
And now all she does is look for her coaches and yell at the umpires. Like, what happened in the last year?
I don't know.
Read her own press clippings? Ego got too big? I'm cheering for Sabalenka.
Oh, well, you stormed right ahead of where I was going to go. But I was going to ask you, Diallo is going to play Tommy Paul next. What do you give him for his chances there?
Paul's hot. Yeah, Diablo's serve better Diallo, his first serve better be a little bit higher percentage than he's got now because he's got that rocket serve with that height.
Well, he's got that length,
and stuff like that. But Paul's a hot guy. If he gets to the quarterfinals or semifinals, they're calling him. He's playing really, really good. He's been banging on the door. He's got the home crowd behind him immensely. But let's go Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he'll win a set. And if he beats him, it'll be a huge upset.
Then the winner of that's basically in line to play Sinner, which
is going to be interesting because everybody wants that. They want the American against Sinner so that the whole Forest Hills crowd can do their New York thing.
Oh, sure. So who do you give? Who do you think is going to win the men's bracket
right now?
The men's tournament, yeah.
I think it's between Sinner and Zverev.
Zverev?
Zverev.
So you think Zverev can finally get his first major?
Yeah. Because I mean, he's got an easier path to the finals now. Because he was on the side with
True.
Joker. Yeah, so he's got an easier path there, so we're going to have to wait and see. I don't... If Sinner wins, God bless him. He's a great player. It's just going to
suspect he's going to win.
So do I. I just didn't want to have to admit it. But I'm hoping for this Nashikimi... How do you say his game?
I just had it. I just closed it.
17-year-old kid played Nakashima. I hope this kid goes on because he'll be a story to raise up the tournament and bring more eyes to the table, and people will realize that you don't always need a Federer and Nadal to get great tennis.
Absolutely. And for the women, who do you like?
I just told you.
I think she's going to win, too.
I think she's a beast, eh?
She had a slow start yesterday, but then stormed right back and did not look back. Plus her record on hard court lately. She's won the last 2 Australian Opens. She was in the finals of last year's U.S. Open.
She's going to be good. And she, you know what? I like her game. I like the fact that she's got giraffe legs that gets her around that court. Like, is she one of the tallest girls on the court?
She is. She's 6 foot. She is 6 foot.
Okay, but let's understand this. Some of the other players there that people don't even know who they are. You don't even know their names, and they should be household names. Swiatek can't get recognized, even though she's not going to get to the finals.
Never know.
Well, I'm hoping it's...
She's only 23, though, so she's not only on, like, the start of her journey, I'd say.
I'd say, too, and she's more of a clay court person. She's going to
that's her specialty, yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting it around. I just hope that people don't forget really great players that I don't know why they don't get more talk about. When you hear the other tournaments, they get more talked about. Well, once it comes to America, it's all Forest Hills, 24/7, God bless America, bring out the fife, drum, and piper guys. And it's kind of weird that way. But we're having a good tournament so far.
Looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
Definitely.
We'll move this along to the NHL, where unfortunately we have to begin on a sad note as Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew Gaudreau were struck by a car on a country road in New Jersey late Thursday night while cycling. They were killed by a drunk driver. Both of them unfortunately passed away the night before their sister's wedding. Just an unbelievable tragedy. And we just wish all the best to the Goudreau family and their friends and everyone who's grieving at this moment. Sad moment for the hockey community at large.
This, let me take a minute to compose myself here. Mm-hmm. This hits a little close to home, bro. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how the family feels. This is, I don't even know what to say. I got a lump in my throat. Mm-hmm. This is something no family should have to go through. I don't think it's ever going to end. I don't think there'll be any justice. My heart bleeds for Johnny Goudreau's children. My heart bleeds for Matthew Goudreau's children, the whole family. Mm-hmm. This is, this is hard to take for me. It just, when I woke up and heard this, it hurt. It hurt. I can only say this. I hope that everybody I know, including my worst enemies, never have to experience anything this devastating, because I'm going to tell you, it changes your life. And if anyone doesn't believe that, the Jack Cruz you're listening to right now is a lot different than the Jack Cruz that you knew 3 years ago. God bless those two souls if there's a place that they're going to go. But most importantly, my heart bleeds every second for everybody in the Goudreau family.
Yeah. So
God bless.
Unbelievable tragedy. The hockey world kind of came together to give their respects. Just unbelievably sad. I don't even know what else to say.
I think about trying to find a way to reach out myself, but I'm probably thinking there's 1,000 people that are also in my position that are grieving the same way, because I can't relate. I don't want anyone to relate, to tell you the truth. But when you hear stuff like this, it knocks me down. I didn't even talk for an hour. I took my dog for a walk immediately. I didn't talk to anybody because I probably would have cried just bringing it up. Mm-hmm. So sad. I hope this guy does go away for 20 years. You know what I mean?
We hope justice is served here on The House That Happens.
100%.
We'll move this hockey discussion to a little bit agent talk, where
my favorite subject.
Nick Robertson still remains an RFA with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Pat Brisson just happens to have two other RFAs in his portfolio. Most notably, besides Robertson, is Dawson Mercer on New Jersey, who's another pretty high-profile guy.
Okay, so let's look at it this way. I don't want to say Scott Burrows in this statement, but there's something about certain agents that do certain things that try to circumvent everything, and they just make it play for other legitimate agents to be doing their thing. Now, here's what we brought up last week, and I think that this is staring us in the face: is if this agent knows what he's doing, why doesn't anyone come up with an offer sheet for any of these guys? We talked about it last week.
Well, guys are afraid to offer sheet because the draft pick compensation. We've talked about this.
Yes, but I'm still saying now, if you have potential to get somebody that's you already going to be qualified, it's better than the draft pick. What's bird in hand's better than two in a bush? Isn't that the old saying? Nick Robertson is a bird in hand. Mercer's a bird in hand. Even Passaretti is a bird in hand. And nothing's moving with these guys. And training camp opens in what? 16 days? Weeks. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to say about it. I find that the most interesting thing about it is that the goalie on Boston, what's his name?
Swayman?
Swayman's not signed yet. Another guy that's out there.
Did you hear what they're saying? That since the last... two goalies to beat the Leafs in a playoff series are like $10 million goalies. So Swayman has that kind of sway now.
That's what they're saying. I don't know if I give that all.
But he's definitely in for a big raise. We can agree on that.
No doubt. He's going to get.
I don't think that number's going to begin with a 5 or 6.
No, I think it'll be higher. But then again, it's back to your theory, which I really agree with. How much do you want to pay your goalies? Unless they're Carey Price, Martin Brodeur, or somebody like that.
Even if they're Carey Price or Martin Brodeur, proceed with caution.
Very much so. You know what I mean? Which brings it back to when you do sign a guy, like I should have alluded to this when we're talking about these guys and how you got to say them, is like your age becomes a factor too.
Oh, absolutely. It's part of the formula.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Hence the reason Trent Williams isn't getting signed so quick in San Francisco. And the football thing is maybe due to his age.
Yep.
I think Passaretti's also... in this situation, because what's Passaretti now, 34?
Yeah, he's up there.
So you're not going to give this guy a bag.
No, he's going to sign for like something pretty cheap, I would imagine, with a contending team, which is why there's rumors now that the Leafs are in on him. And I think it's a little bit of a play, too, for Robertson. Like, hey, look, we have your replacement right here.
Is that an agent-driven thing?
What?
The agent saying, hey, we'll get Passaretti, get that Brisebois and his boy out of here. I think they'll make a mistake if they don't sign Robertson. I think his upside.
He doesn't want to sign back, though. That's the thing. Well, because he's adamant he wants to go somewhere else. So,
well, that's because of the disrespect that he got from the organization, starting with Keefe. But Keefe's out
gone.
of town. Yeah.
Keefe's gone. So I don't know.
It's a new day at the office. Why didn't he walk in? I heard it best. That Struddy guy that's on Edmonton, comes on Overdrive. I like this guy's opinion because he talks about it like feet on the ground. Like he says, why can't players hey, Berube, let's go for a beer.
Yeah.
Robertson call up Berube, let's go for a beer and talk.
I don't understand that either.
So why? Well, and you go have your talk. If you're not satisfied in your talk, then continue from there. Did you not notice once that Marner went and had his little tay with Berube, there's no more talk about Marner leaving town. All the dust settled and he's coming into training camp. So there has to be something said about human relations and describe, what's my position going to be on this team? What are my opportunities? What am I going to get? I don't think Robertson's ever got a fair shake in Toronto due to numbers, situations, circumstances. But the guy's 22.
Yeah.
He's got high upside on the scoring. Great skater. Could possibly become a bit of a penalty killer. I don't know why Toronto would be thinking about signing Passaretti when they've got.
Well, if he's not going to sign back with you, like, what are you going to do?
Ayuk signed up. We heard all the bullshit at Ayuk for a month now. What did he end up doing?
Yeah, but we're comparing apples and oranges here.
In a way, but I'm still saying, you don't think it can be rectified situation?
I don't know. I feel like it would have happened already with Robertson.
Well, camp's coming. We're going to have to see. That's why I found out about the Passaretti thing when that came up. It just made me go, really? Why? Because then they said, oh, what about a return?
You need a warm body.
Yeah, well,
Although, too, this would open up a spot for one of the rookies to make the team, too, if Robertson doesn't show up to camp.
And what have I already predicted? Wait till we get to our hockey preview show. You know what my take on rookies coming into Toronto?
We said one of them would make the team.
Yeah, if not two. But I'm saying one of them is going to make the team, which could probably
Two is not going to happen given their contract situation.
And the veterans that they have.
That's like the Leafs contract situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But somebody in the hierarchy in Shanahan's office sitting around having a beer, puffing a fatty, going, no, we won't sign. We got to wait for the kids. So Robertson is in no man's land in every situation he's got into in Toronto, which is unfortunate. I like the kid personally.
I like him too.
You know what I mean? But it's unfortunate. But keeping tabs on the Habs, Passaretti is an ex-Hab.
I'm aware.
Enough said from the peanut gallery sitting in this chair. It's an ex for a reason. Now, I've already asked you this. Have you ever gone out with one of your exes?
No.
Neither have I. And the only time it's ever worked is I haven't heard of it. Ask Ben Affleck how it's going with him personally. So,
well, not all breakups are equal.
Agreed. Okay, and not all goals scored look the same. But in this situation, no, I don't want him back in Montreal.
You guys need a left-handed scorer, though.
I don't give a damn. He's ex. I don't want my ex hanging around, causing me grief and giving, welcome back. He's this.
Why would you assume that he's causing you grief?
Let's put it this way. Did he leave Montreal ceremoniously? I think it was unceremoniously that he left Montreal.
Sure.
So last time I checked, we call that baggage. So as a team that's moving forward in the way that we are constructed and the way that we have done things in the off season and the way we've worked around our salary cap, I don't want an ex hanging around there putting a freaking fly in the ointment. You know what I mean? Is he going to score 30 goals? I doubt it.
Maybe 20, if he can stay healthy.
Maybe Gallagher's going to score 20 this year. Maybe Anderson's going to score 20 this year. I'm just saying, you can't say they're not.
I can say they're not.
Okay, you can say they're not. So I'm going to be more positive and say maybe we got guys on the roster that have the potential to score 40, and they're veterans anyway, and they're Habs. And
I would say other guys have 20-goal potential on the Habs. I would not say it's Anderson or Gallagher, though.
Stop it right now. Hey, Gally,
you know I'm right.
I'm not saying you're right. When Gally, you score 20 goals this year, I'm going to make freaking Milani go up and sharpen your skates. That's all there is.
When Gallagher can't crack 10, I'm gonna have you.
He's going to be the best fourth line center in the league. Fourth
Winger,
line
you
winger.
mean?
He's going to be the best fourth line winger in the league.
Best $6.5 million fourth line winger in the league.
We didn't bring up his money. What do you bring up money? You don't talk about
It's all
a man's
about the
money.
cap. You've said it yourself.
Okay, I agree, but we don't talk about a man's money on this show. We just introduce their thing. We just talk about their contracts. But you made that.
We
you
don't
made
talk
that
about their
personal.
money. We just talk about their contracts. What does that even mean?
That means that we know what their contract is. Then we don't have to talk about a man's money anymore.
But we have to. That's like half the battle in the NHL. We've talked about that.
You're killing me on Galley. Leave Galley alone. Anderson's going to score 20 this year.
No.
Come on.
No.
I don't know. I'm just saying
Awful
that.
hands.
The point being is, me personally as a Hab disciple, Pastor Eddie, you had your time. He didn't get to see, did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh, yeah, I got to see.
He was captain.
Oh, yeah, for 10 minutes. Now you got to go.
A few years.
It's got to go. No, we don't bring him back. And I think if Toronto brings him in, it'd just be a dog and pony show. But that's just my humble opinion. On
I don't think it's going to happen. But
I don't either. I think the way that the Leafs are constructed, that nah.
if he comes and says like I'll sign for like $1 million.
Or that veterans thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying in Montreal he might do because his connections. But I think there's just too much baggage.
I think there's a better fit for him in Montreal, though, to be honest.
I think it's a better fit, but I'm just saying from past history says I don't do X's. Done. If that's wrong, I could be stepping on my own toes, but I'm going to take, if you believe in something that much, don't change your way.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
And lastly, there was a trade that went down this week. The Predators trade their young goalie Askarov to San Jose and others for a package including the Vegas 2025 first-round pick. I think this is a good move for both teams.
I do too, and especially for San Jose because they got a great fan base and they're trying to build back. And what do you need most as a goalie? And this goalie was
well. They also need to tell those fans to come back in because last year the Shark Tank was quite empty.
The worst in their history, they're saying, which is a drag because I didn't even see Neil Young at games, which is there, and I didn't see Goldie Hawn there.
But now you got Will Smith, you got Macklin Celebrini coming in.
Yes.
Some actual competent NHL talent.
But I think it was a very smart move on the part that Nashville got the number one pick via Vegas. Yep. And this goalie was never going to get a chance in Nashville, just considering they signed what's-his-name to all that money.
Yeah, well, he was going to be the number 3 this year anyways.
Right, so and this guy's got the potential to grow, and he's only, 21, 22?
Yeah, 22.
So it's an interesting trade. I found, I thought, like you said, it's one of those trades that was good for everybody.
Absolutely.
And it advances a player's career when he's not getting a chance sitting on the bench, so to speak, right?
We'll move us along.
Whoa, wait. We got to have the Toronto Maple Leaf report.
We just talked about the Leafs.
But we didn't have the official Toronto Maple Leaf
God.
report. Can we do this, please? Big shout out to Austin Matthews' new dog, Ralph. Looks just like my Stanley. He's cool. When he comes to Toronto and he needs a dog walker, I'm going to put my thing out there that, Austin, I will walk your dog because he's so cool, and now he owns 2. What's better than a dog owning 1 dog? Owning 2!
You know what's funny? Back when we started this show, Cruz was like, no, we got to keep it between the lines. Now he's talking about players' dogs.
That's an important part to his chi. It probably gives him a little bit of a hug before a game, and he goes out and gets a hat trick. His dog have a lot more to do with his life and his playing than you understand. Because you don't have a dog. You don't have a dog in your life every day, do you?
No.
Then once you have a dog in your life, you're Snoopy. You're a Snoopy guy. What was Snoopy in your life every day? How good would that be? That'd be amazing. So I want to shout out to Ralph, and he's a cool-looking dog. He's a doodle or whatever. He's cool. He's got a face you can't help but love.
Okay.
So, and Austin, if you're listening, I will gladly walk your dog. He'll get along great with Stanley. Welcome to the Toronto Maple Leaf organization, your newest fan, Ralph. What a great name for a dog, right?
Ralph?
I think Ralph, Stanley, Cody, Andrew. I'm waiting for a dog named Andrew. Someone named Andrew. Not Andy.
No, Andrew's not a good dog name, I don't think.
Why?
It's not like, don't you want something that's like kind of has like Rex or something, you know?
No, that's too much. That's like
no, but it's something that the dogs will pick up on because it's like very like a distinct.
Andrew.
No,
he sits. Andrew. I want to call him Andy. Anyways, good luck to the dog. I love dog lovers. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the hood knows me and my dog, so that's just the way it goes. Continue.
All right, we'll move this along to Major League Baseball, where Danny Jansen, the former Blue Jay, became the first player to play for both teams in one game. Only in baseball, I tell you.
Isn't that the most unique situation you ever heard in sports? Like how that happened, how it played out. It wasn't for the weather, we wouldn't be talking about it, but that's just a nuance that happened.
How many texts do you think Alex Cora got on his phone? Like, you got to put him in, you got to put him in, you got to put him in.
Oh, it had to be an onslaught. It was all over every sports show. they brought it up because it's one of those anomalies that we'll may never see again in the history of sports. And thank God for Mother Nature for providing us with this opportunity to be able to say this. You know what I mean? And not only that, what I really appreciated was all the Jays guys that got around Jansen before the game. Just shows you how much of a well-respected player that he is. You know what I mean?
Well, we knew that he was very good in the clubhouse, but
he may re-sign.
I don't know. I heard he didn't want to re-sign, which is why they traded him in the first place.
Well, I think part of the problem is once you're in an organization and you send you to another one, Buck Martinez says it's great. It's hard to look over your shoulder when a team has traded you or cut you, or especially when you grew up in the organization. It's time to move on. You go down the road. You don't look back. Like Passaretti being an ex-Montreal, same shit. You know what I mean? So, but I like Danny Jansen a lot.
I do too.
You know, great historical moment. That'll be a trivia question 20 years from now when I'm not here and you're here, and you'll be on the show. They'll say, "Has there ever been a player that played in the same team in 2 games?" And you're going to jump up and win the $1,000.
I hope it's worth $1,000. So the Blue Jays, obviously, we're going into the final month of the season. No chance of making the playoffs,
of course.
Where do we stand on them?
Okay, first of all, we've had this thing since back in May that we said. By the end of May, we were already cringing, okay? So it's gotten worse than we said. However, there is a silver lining here in this respect. I don't think that you give respect to September numbers, and a lot of people say they don't, okay? Because who's playing who's where. But I think it's changed in this way. Right now, Toronto's playing Minnesota. Those games mean something to Minnesota. So if we show up against these good teams and show that we can compete going into this last section of the season, then there's a viable reason that Mark Shapiro is going to say, "I told you we had a retool, not a rebuild."
Ugh.
So I don't want to be.
So an excuse for them to not spend this offseason again?
Oh no! Wait, we by next spring. Winter meetings, everything like $600 million. 600 million. That's all we got to say. However, what it has done is given these kids exposure to playing every day in the sport, and they're going to have a large sample size to see who they're going to play there. Now, we have to give Mr. Pick his credit when he was saying this. Do we want to have 7 number 8 hitters? Okay, but look at Minnesota, how they're constructed. They're basically around 6 guys that are probably number 6 hitters, but they platoon. So they can move their thing, and they all play good defense. Now, these kids that we've all brought up, Barger, what's his name? Perfido. The guy plays left field a lot.
Yeah, Loperfido.
The kid that's playing a lot more now is a menace, even though I think we should be playing more shortstop soon, is that we're going to be able to have that defensive presence that we want with perhaps a little bit more offense. So I'm looking at some of these kids and saying, this is your audition, so I'm going to respect that. Now, to put a period on the sentence, how do you deny Francis as a pitcher after his performance in the last month? Does not bode well for him a chance to be one of the starters coming out next spring?
It does, but I mean, like, I want to see a little bit more. I want to see if he can continue this through September.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If he continues on this path to the end of September, then we really only have to look for one more starter. You know what I mean? And we have a plethora of guys around that are in the minors that may be able to make it their way back.
Tiedemann
being a starter, being number 1, and I think we got another kid down there. And not only that, I heard, which I was surprised at, Romano's his arm strength's gotten stronger. So I'm not saying he's necessarily going to be the closer next year, but we need him. And Swanson's looked much better back from his rehab and stuff. So what I'm saying is, if the Toronto overpays for everything, why don't we try to get Corbin Burns? He's going to be a free agent. Why don't we get, what's the guy from the Dodgers? One of those guys is a free agent. Because Yarborough is a good steal that we got here. I think he's a potential that he's going to be making the team next year. So I'm not going to be giving complete validation to everything happens in September, but it could be a little bit of a building block for what we're looking forward to next spring, don't you think?
Yeah, but they need to still bring in some other pieces. We've talked about this.
Oh, I agree. Overpay right now. If
they don't get at least one big bat this offseason, then I think it's going to be the same results.
I'm not okay. I'm saying I'm dying left-handed bat.
Yes.
That's what we're looking
preferably.
for. Preferably left-handed bat. I'm going to say that too. Let's throw everything at Soto, but I don't think he's going to New York. But anyways,
I think the Mets are going to pull the Dodgers and sweep in with a bigger offer. The word about the Yankees is that they're not going to pay him higher than Judge, so I think that's going to cause issues for them to re-sign him. Although now that even the Nationals are talking about potentially bringing in Soto, which would be hilarious. Like, you completely take the Padres farm system and then get the guy right back that you traded away to get them.
So he wouldn't be an X, according to my caliber of X.
Well, he's won a World Series there, too. Let's not forget.
100%. I'm just saying this. There's a number of free agents that around the year that are like tier B guys. They could be added to Toronto. I think that if you're trying to get bums in the seats and you want to have an attractive product, I think that this is the time, and I'm not usually a fan of this, pay a little bit extra, like Steele. If, like, for example, if Cleveland's going for the guy, a certain relief pitcher or a certain guy that could play every day or perhaps be a solid platoon player, jack a couple $100 more million on the guy and bring him to Toronto. Because then we're going to have to because we do have some components on this team that are solid.
Right.
Like, when do we sign Vladdy? You got to sign him now. Hottest hitter in baseball. Can't get the guy out. Even though he made a stupid move again the other night, running the bases. Hasn't done a lot of that. Had a couple bad swings, but that's just very minor in considering the season that the man's having. Like, he will be top 5 MVP.
Yes.
Now he will be. Remember we said we couldn't get there, but now it's not.
I was saying he would.
I think he should get top 5, which is a bonus in his contract, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I think there's some kind of bonus because he signed that contract before he became a free agent. Remember, they jacked him early, so he would stay. Part of that is laden with bonuses. You know what I mean? Which is an interesting thing when you talk about bonuses. We should have brought it up. You know that Juden's is playing this year. He didn't get a new contract when he went to Atlanta, but they're going to respect his incentives that the New England was going to get him. So I think that Vladdy's got some of those built-in incentives. We're going to have to wait and see.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? But then it's interesting about the Jays, too, is like one guy that I beat with a stick all the time is Bassett. Okay? Goes out and he looks terrible. Then look at the other night. He went 7, gave up 1, and didn't get a win. So that's the life of a starting pitcher, so to speak. So I'm going to have to pull back a little bit on Bassett in this respect, which we've talked about. He's an innings eater.
Yeah.
Barrios, innings eater. Gozman, innings eater. So you got 3 of those. If this Francis kid can continue to win, he's a big boy too, isn't he? He's a big boy. Mm-hmm. If we add that onto the picture, then I'm thinking that and pick up any relievers, especially a couple more lefties, I think that the Toronto Blue Jays could sell us a retool next spring if they make the desired moves that you want for a big left-handed bat and overpay for any other pitching that they possibly get. Mm. You know what I mean? Because teams bounce back, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they're not going to fall off the cliff. They're not going to be like Chicago, who went there. Look at Miami last year. They were the wonder boys of the team. This time last year, they were fighting for a playoff spot. Where are they now?
On their way to a 100-loss season.
There you go. So some organizations get lucky, some don't. Toronto is more stable than that. So I'm saying that they could have the bounce back year, at least be a playoff contender, if they go about spending the money the way we want them to.
Absolutely, which we will have to see. Looking around the league, Kansas City is making an interesting play, them and the Twins, for the AL Central. It's going to come down to the very end there. Can Cleveland hang on?
I don't know, because I think that the starting pitching on Kansas City is a little bit better. Their defense is a little bit better. And if they do win playing at that Kauffman Park or whatever in Kansas City, is a definitely home field advantage for Kansas City, even though they say baseball parks aren't. No, the parameters of that park, the way they built the team, Bobby Witt is just having a season of seasons. He's going to get no mention because of the judges, the Sotos, and stuff like that. No,
I think he's the clear-cut number 2 for MVP.
Oh, he's got to be.
Yeah.
All-around game, too, because he's playing second base.
Probably a Gold Glover this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely a Gold Glove. I think the whole thing, Salvador Perez is having a resurgence as pitchers. Their bullpen has been, I think, top 5 since the All-Star break. But I think Cleveland has just got enough hitting, because hitting seems to be what's putting you over the top. In the playoffs, they say it doesn't matter, but we're going to have to wait and see. I don't think Minnesota's going to do it because I think they've got good enough pitching, but they don't have enough hitting. And those 6 or 7 hitters going to probably screw them up down in the end, but that's going to be an interesting race. You know what I mean? I think that just as interesting race is, I've been calling Baltimore all year. Baltimore, they're going to win the division. Where are they at now?
Were they a game and a half out?
Yeah, and I think they're 2 in the loss column, maybe 3.
2.
And not only that, their starting pitching is starting to stub its toe. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? You got to have someone going 6, 7, whatever the case may be. So I'm saying that the Yankee-Baltimore thing could be don't they play each other 6 times before the end of the year?
Oh, let's look at that.
I think they have a couple more series. It's going to make it very interesting.
Just one 3-game series in New York.
That's going to be absolutely pandemonium. I hope that the Baltimore guys, well, I hate Baltimore and the Yankees, but I hope that the young guys don't get deer in the headlights going into New York with a series this big.
Who do you say has the advantage going to the playoffs in the American League? Because I don't see really any clear-cut favorite right now.
Houston Astros.
I want to see how they perform in September before.
They're rolling along pretty good right now, though. Is anyone?
Yeah, but if they stub their toe in September, then you're like,
They're still going to win their division, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm talking about like once you get into the playoffs.
If Verlander shows up,
and they're not going to get a first-round bye by the looks of it, so they got to play in that wild card round.
Okay,
that's only a best of 3.
Ramirez is their starter. Will start the first game. He's going to be a guaranteed win. That guy's probably one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's not getting his kudos about who should win Cy Young, but I think he's definitely going to get some votes, even though the kid in Detroit's going to win it. The bottom line is Houston is an experienced team. A lot of good guys, play defense, hitting the ball, pitching's coming around. I think that they're going to be a sleeper if they go back, because those teams seem to find a way to get back in. The experience, their lineup is Layden, Bergman, Altuve, name them all. There's a bunch of those guys there. I think Houston is going to make more noise than people realize. That's going to be my call when we do the playoff predictions. We'll wait till we get there, but I'm going to start with Houston right now. I think the Yankees are going to get screwed up with their pitching. Unless they hit their way through it. Yeah, same with Baltimore. I think that their pitching staffs look a little bit more suspect than Houston. So we're going to go there. Even though Kansas City's got enough pitching that if they get on a hot roll too.
That's the thing.
That they're the two teams that I'm saying. And they'd be the most fun. I like the way they play baseball. They move the ball. They move runners. They do crazy-ass shit. So we're going to have to wait and see.
And then in the NL, LA, despite you really wanting them to blow this, they are pulling back away with the NL West lead, up 5 games on the Diamondbacks and the Padres. 10
days ago, Arizona was a game back in the loss column. Now what are they? 5 in the loss column? Mm-hmm. It's just a weird scenario.
And the Dodgers have the best record in the majors.
How they pulled that off with the pitching. Look at Kershaw was out 2 innings, stubbed his toe or something.
But you talked about the importance of hitting, and look at their top 5 hitters on that team.
Can't be touched. That can't be touched. They play a modicum of defense. Dave Roberts is a good manager. I can't believe that the Dodgers are holding on. I think what really helped them is San Diego was so damn hot, and I was pumping their tires. Suddenly they have a 3-game losing streak, leaves 5 of 7, just when they get knocking on the door. Can they right the ship going in?
San Diego?
Can they do it? I'm more confident in Arizona just because I think that their 4-point-something ERA with their starters will get them through. Because
I think they're both going to make the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, which means will anybody else be able to make it, including Craig Counsell and his Taylor Swift friend Candle? I don't know. I think we thought this was going to be the craziest September in NL.
Yeah, it really didn't.
No, it's going to.
It's going to come down to the Braves and the Mets for that final seed. That's it.
That's how I see it too. And you know what I mean? I hope the Mets don't make it because of the owner and their money. But what amazing comeback from this time last year.
I know.
Like the Mets, and that's what I'm saying about Toronto.
Well, even from May.
From May on.
In May, they look like they were out of it.
No kidding. Well, that's what I'm saying. Toronto, look at these things. We could be that team. We could be making that move. Who do you think is going to make it? The Mets or the Braves? Braves had a huge win last night against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And they got 2 more games against them this weekend, and they've got another series against Philadelphia. So let's see what happens. But then again, the Mets have to play Atlanta, and they have to play Philadelphia too. So
the Braves do have a slightly harder schedule, though.
They agree, and the injuries are killing them, even though I heard they're going to bring people back. Which leads me to be who's going to be available in this waiver nonsense that's about to start happening now.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, isn't that the second trade deadline?
Essentially, even though it was supposed to be gone.
Well, I think they're going to have to change the rules about that. Same thing as in the NBA. Like that's like a sneaky
Well,
thing.
the NBA thing, that's not changing. It's been like that for over a decade.
It's just, it's a fanfoolery, don't you think?
I mean, whatever. NBA, it's like you're signing guys to be at the end of your bench. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the baseball one is
more significant, definitely, especially if they're dumping a salary. Like, will Rendon be released?
Oh, my God. Who's going to pick him up?
I don't know, but if he's at the end of your bench, perhaps being a pinch hitter. What was a guy of his caliber? What happened to this guy? Get the money and just say, okay, I'm good. Let's take care of the family.
I mean, he admitted to not basically caring about baseball.
Unbelievable move on a player of that caliber. I don't get it. But in any event, I think the races are going to be very interesting. Watch the ball games. I've been watching a lot of late night teams. I still find that the National League is a little bit more of a hit and run league, stolen bases and doing all of that stuff. It should be amazing. Ending, I'm going to be watching religiously. I can't wait for the baseball playoffs, personally. You know what I mean? It'll give me something to do in between watching football.
Yep.
But before we leave baseball, I just wanted to ask you this question because it's been going around in the world of sports.
I have a question too.
Okay, so I'll ask my question first. Who's having a more historic season, Ohtani or Judge?
Judge.
60-some home runs in a non-steroid era, 102 RBIs, and flirting with...
For the second time in 3 years.
And flirting with the Triple Crown. Plays every day in a position.
Center field.
Okay, so this Ohtani might get 50-50. I'm going to give his stolen bases a because you know how I feel about the stolen base situation. However, he still stole 40. What's he at? 43 and 43 now? Or 43 and 44?
And he doesn't get caught stealing a lot.
Unprecedented season from Ohtani. Like if we just had the Judge season or we just had the Ohtani season, we'd be talking about a season for the ages. We got two of them. Who was it that said it best? Appreciate greatness. I forget who it was. It could have been a Bryce Harper or one of these big name players come out and said, just respect greatness. Don't compare. Don't say who's going to do this. They're both going to be viable leaders on their team going into the playoffs. I think it's an amazing season. But if I was going to lead on it, I'd lead towards Judges. Yeah.
And I want to ask you. So we talked about the starting pitchers, the 100-pitch, 6-inning proposals. A proposal came out this week that I actually really like, and I want to get your take on it. Is that if you take your starting pitcher out of the game, you lose your DH. I love this.
Ever since you told me about it, I thought about taking analytics out of the game and getting back to baseball strategy. This would be just an insane strategic game because you could pinch in for the guy.
Yep. But
you better make sure your bench is deep because it's a very interesting prospect when you think about it. At first when I thought about it, I went, what? But I'm against, like, you have to have your guy playing 6 innings or 100 pitches or whatever the case.
I think that's dangerous, especially with, like, injury stuff and
young guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. What this says to me is that you're putting more value onto a starting pitcher, which is something we haven't seen in the last 10 years. So if you're going to be that dangerous about moving your pitcher, let's how's that happen? So we're going to agree with that?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so we're going to start putting in our votes for if you take out your starting pitcher, you're going to lose your DH. Interesting strategy, though, wouldn't that? What would analytics people do?
Well, they'd have to find a way around that. They're just going to come up with new stuff. Like when, you got to think like, who are we going to DH this guy when this guy's on the mound versus this day? I think it's really cool.
Not only that, your roster structure would change.
Yep.
Look how you'd have to build your team because you have to have some guys on the bench that would be viable
hitters,
in case your guy gets raked in the first inning or second inning. What are you going to do? You got to be prepared for that. So the more strategy you add to the game of baseball, I'm liking it because I think too much strategy got taken away with analytics. So this would be a good thing to add fan interest.
All right.
Definitely. All right.
So we're approaching the end of our show. So, of course, that's time for trivia, courtesy of Mr. Stephen Milani. Thank you very much.
Who we expect to see on the
hockey preview.
Yes, 100%.
On this day in 1993, the Minnesota Twins beat the Cleveland Indians 5-4. How many innings did the game last?
16.
Bonus point if you can name who hit the walk-off home run to end it.
1993? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 1993, right? 1993. I'm going to say it's Joe Mauer.
No, that's before Mauer.
Is it before Mauer?
Yeah. Kirby Puckett, or is that after him?
I think that's a little after him. It's not Kirby Puckett, but I'm going to say it's a first baseman. A guy like Joe Mauer. So, okay, give us the answer. 16?
The answer is 22.
Oh. That's why they did this, put the guy in second base.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that led to this, yeah.
And the answer is, the bonus point, Pedro Munoz, Munoz.
Was he a first baseman or a DH?
Let's look
We'll
that
have
up.
to check it out. Interesting stat. We'll have to find out.
Well, that is not the right one. That's a Brazilian martial artist.
Oh, well, there's probably a lot of guys with that name. If you're in those countries, that's like Smith or Jones. You know what I mean?
Let's see. He was a right fielder.
Oh, okay.
Played 6 seasons for the Twins and 1 for the A's.
So he had a career. 7 years in the show, can't knock it. Good for him.
Career .273 batting average.
Yep. But I think he fell off the cliff. One of those guys that fell off the cliff. Steven, what a great trivia question.
Killing us with these.
That's okay. It just makes you think, and it's knowledge that I'm going to put in my back pocket. Keep it up, kid. Can't wait to see you.
And now it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, my friend Dominic's favorite segment. It's the Gospel According to Cruz.
Okay, I got an interesting take on what goes on in the world today because something happened at my baseball game the other night that started me to thinking about fair play, interaction between fans, players, and what's right and what's wrong. Just recently, which I didn't know, do you know Justin Duran or Jaron Duran, the leadoff hitter for the Boston Red Sox, who's having a breakout season this year? I didn't realize this, but about 6 weeks ago, he got suspended for 2 games for yelling a gender-related slag at a fan. He was suspended 2 games. Okay, before I go that, also this year, which is the biggest notable one that I've noticed, was that Luka Doncic got a guy thrown out of a game for telling him to get on a bicycle. So what do we have here? We have a situation where we have to define what is a fan, what is a player's relationship when it comes to how you perform or act when you're in a professional arena, being a fan or player. Now, I think in 2024, we've already said that there's certain things in the lexicon that should be eliminated, certain things we should never say anymore. Now, let's look at it this way. The players are under a lot of pressure. They've got to perform every day. When you got somebody ragging on you from the fans, you should get a little bit pissed off, but you have to be a professional about this and keep it in your back pocket. Now, I'm known as one that plays baseball. I'm the first guy that'll do anything I can possibly do to get another player off their game or do something that distracts them. But I'll never cross the line when it comes to things like race relations, gender talk, politics, or any of that stuff that is no part of the game. So my question is, when do we get to a point where we can say, okay, if a player says this, he's automatically suspended, or when does a fan do this, why should they be able to sit at home? Well, first of all, you have to understand one thing. When a fan buys a ticket, he has the right to cheer, jeer, or do anything that he wants when he's inside there, drawing the line. Like in the old George Carlin thing used to say, the numbers used to be a game. Some leagues said, got to keep your mothers out of this. But of course, our league didn't keep the mothers out of this, so everything got crazy. I'm not applying that to sports because I think that there should be a reasonable look at class, sportsmanship, and the joy of the game. And every time we have one of these incidences, it takes away from the flavor of the game. I don't know where we're going to go to stop it, but I think maybe we should start having a fan suspension and put his name, like in the old spaghetti westerns, wanted for being an idiot, running on the field, streaking, throwing a freaking bomb.
Well, they
on
do
the field.
that. Like, don't let this guy into certain places.
I think that they should put it on all the national sports shows so we can ridicule these fans for taking away all the other fans that are there for the sporting experience. In the same breath, if you find any more of these players that have say words that are no longer supposed to be part of the lexicon, it should become more than 2 games. We should put them up in the thing, this guy said this guy said that. They're saying, well, you're just shaming the guy. Well, he should be ashamed for using that kind of language in a public place in front of places where there's kids. So I don't know where we're going to end with this, but my conclusion is this. The idea of sports is there's always a winner and there's always a loser. And what you have to do is
sometimes there's ties.
Okay, whatever the case may be, but I'm saying is what we have to do is we have to have respect for the game and the time, which brings me to my final thing. We only play beer league baseball, okay? And sometimes it gets a little animosity between teams. There's some jarring. There's some comments that are made. Nothing should be made off color. But a thing happened the other night, and I brought it up to my team, and I want us to realize this when we're focused for the game the other night. Our fiercest competitor is now facing us in the finals for a final game. It was a very tight game the other night. They came out and got 6 runs and mercied us in the first inning, but we came back and scored 4 and eventually won the game 15-10. At the end of the game, we went through the line and everybody shook hands except for the 2 biggest bitches on the other team stayed in the bench and refused to come out and shake our hands. I abhor bad sportsmanship. I've been in tournaments when I've been the angriest guy on the team because of a bad ref, a missed call, a bad play, but I've always gotten in line to shake the hands of the other team. So I'm going to wrap this up this way. Whenever you want to participate in the game as a fan or as a player, keep 3 things in mind. You're there for the love of the game. You're there for the passion that you have for the team that you play for, but most importantly of all, you have respect for the environment which you've decided to enter because you're a fan. Agreed?
Agreed.
There we go. Hope everyone likes that.
Any plans for the weekend?
I hope to get to the end of my driveway. This is about as far as I'm going to get. I was offered to go to TFC, but I might have to make a trip to Erin Mills, which might undo those things. But if I'm just on my backyard trying to look at the Hiroshima, which is my backyard, the flooding is just... You see my backyard? We look like renters. Okay. However, the green looks good. Just thought I'd throw that in there. But what am I going to do for the weekend? I'm hoping to go out for a nice dinner with my wife. That's about
nice.
All that we're doing. What's your plans for the weekend?
I'm seeing Radica tonight, and then tomorrow is our fantasy football draft.
Ooh.
Ordering Memphis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that place. It's like a dive-in Woodbridge, but the best barbecue.
Okay, then I'll have to go there one day. What's your position in the draft?
We won't know until half an hour before.
Pull them out of the hat?
No, it's through Yahoo, so they just automatically do it, and you won't know till half hour before.
I like it better when it. You know what? We always argue about this. What's better, letting it do random or picking your name out of the hat?
It's the same.
I just think the physical of pulling it out of the hat with all the boys present.
I would like to do that too, but 2 of the people couldn't attend live, so it's not an option.
Then that's not there. Good luck in your fantasy.
Thank you.
There.
It looks like the consensus number 1 pick. This is a 2-quarterback league, so the consensus number 1 pick is going to be Josh Allen. So
yeah, I agree.
It's going to be interesting to see
who falls in after that and how you build your team, or whatever.
I'm hoping to draft 4, 5, 6, just so that I don't have to make a decision on those top quarterbacks.
Oh, good for you. Is Radica helping you out with any of this?
She knows absolutely nothing about football. I had to teach her what a fair catch was, actually.
That's not a bad thing,
yeah.
Radica.
She's asking questions, so.
Well, I've noticed every week that Andrew's coming in. He's got a bigger smile on his face. So obviously things between you and her are going outstanding, outrageous, catalyst.
She met the siblings last night, too.
Even better, which gives me the opportunity to say hello to Mrs. Milani again. I'm glad you're listening, and to your dad.
Yep.
You know, out there. And hopefully down the future, this can all be one big happy family.
Hopefully. And hopefully you've realized that the lines wear light blue.
Oh, just when I thought we were having an amazing show, I'm going to end it with this. God bless Honolulu Blue. Thank you.
Which can be in the family of light blue.
You know what? It's tough when you have an accomplice that's really kicking the hell out of your theory on what a great uniform
I don't mind
like.
light blue, just so you know. Well, which should be obvious from our conversations.
You know what? I'm told I look great in light blue. I'm told it's my color. Good girls for you.
Well, you look great in it right now with that lion shirt.
Honolulu Blue, people. Look at my lion shirt. It's Honolulu Blue.
Light
And we're gonna end on colors. And the color that I want to see most this weekend is Big Blue winning tonight on the nationally challenged game for the national championship team to defend.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
I'm hoping for red. TFC and Ferrari doing well this weekend.
Oh, I think your Ferrari team's going to sneak up. I've been watching. I just got a gut feeling. Car performance, talk from the team, the track.
They had a better second half last year, Ferrari, which is usually not their MO, so maybe Fred Vasseur's doing something right.
And I hope that we get to see the 17-year-old kid advance at the U.S. Open.
Absolutely. Let's go Diallo.
Yeah, and Diallo. That would be a great thing. Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
That's about it. Have a great week, everybody.
You too. And once again, we want to thank everybody that takes the time to listen to us. Let us know. Of course, in the promo, Andrew's going to give you all kinds of information. I got 2 new promos coming. I don't know if you're going to use them, but I think they're hilarious.
Let's go. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, you're going to get a kick out of it. I really do. I'm not completely part of all of it. That's just to give you a little clue what's going on.
Next week on Thursday, we will get our NFL promo or NFL preview show out there. So look forward to that. And then the next couple shows after that are going to be some short ones since I got to run off to work at Humber. But we'll try and keep it short and sweet.
There you go. That's the best we can do. Anything else we can say about there?
That's about it.
One more time, condolences to the Goudreau family. My heart hurts with you. Anything else?
That's it.
Have a great Labor Day.
My name is Andrew Milani.
And my name is Cruz.
What do?
We keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.